Welcome to Emancipated Studio. Welcome my uncle, Uncle Stu, the old man on the block.
Salute, 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 salute. I just want to thank each and every single one of y'all here tonight, because you could have been anywhere else on these YouTube streets, but you came here tonight to rock and roll with Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. So let me go ahead and give it up. Let me give out my shout outs to my wonderful moderator, Wale, and to, my new guy. He's always been here, always flipping up the name in the game on me. That guy, Tobias. And then we got, we got Stephen Day in the house. And also, let me give a big shout out to my sister-in-law listening in the back, my nieces listening in the back, and Brown Eyes listening in the back. So I just want to give a big shout out to all of them. And to my brother, K-Soul, in the house, holding it down for the 757. All right, listen here. We got a whole lot going on, and as y'all know, we normally don't do a Saturday live stream, but we had to do it for this brother right here. Why? Because sometimes on a Saturday, we might need our minds renewed. We might need a way to rethink. We might need a way to see things a little bit different than the way we've seen them before. Because we got to understand that many of the things that we are going through, it is because of the way we think. It is not because of what other people have done, but it might be because of the things that we are thinking about. What are you thinking about today? What is your mind on today? And if your mind ain't on the right things, how can we begin to transpose or reuse or rethink our minds? I have something that I call respect. What is respect? Respect means the re-education of self for the positive equality to control your own thoughts. Whatsoever a man thinketh, that shall he be. Trust me. This is what the Patreon is all about. It is all about having a one-on-one, a group, and understanding what are we thinking today? How are we thinking? Are we having healthy thoughts or negative thoughts? Are we having a healthy mind or a negative mind? Are we understanding what we're putting in our minds? Because what we eat, we shall become. And so we need to understand how to eat intellectually, how to eat spiritually, as well as how to eat physically. So tonight, when he was on The Intentional Millionaire, he brought the thought. Then he turned around and hung out with the one and only K-Soul. And them two brothers were sitting around thinking about things. So you know what I had to do tonight? I had to go get the one and only Thinking Man's Podcast. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Hey, Uncle Stu, how you doing, man?
Doing what? Why in the world that show up? All right, there you go. You know, man, losing his thoughts, see?
Man, how's your weekend going so far, man?
Man, my weekend is going great. You know, just got some news from my niece, but I can't share it just yet. But you know, shout out to her. I keep telling her uncle is broke. You know, I got two nieces. I love my nieces, man. I really love them, man. They really brighten up my day when they come, and you know, they come to the auntie, but you know, Uncle God try to steal the show, you know. So I love them, man. It's when you got kids that already grew up, and then nieces coming up, it's like, yeah, I feel young again. You
Yeah.
know, but I got one in high school. I got one, getting that master's and whatnot. So she my super educated. Can't tell her nothing. Going, getting ready to get this PhD. I'm like, go ahead, girl, go get a PhD. Go get a PhD. Go get a PhD. Y'all need to retire. Get the PhD. Get the PhD. I got another one getting ready to graduate out of high school. So it's like, oh Lord, here come the car. Here come the car. Here come the car. So I got to get online, man. I got to hustle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, as you talking, I'm hearing them bills rack up.
There you go. But what I love is the fact that they're women, they're educated,
Yeah.
they're feminine, they ain't out here doing foolish stuff.
Yeah.
They understand authority. They ain't gonna take no BS off no dude. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, they ain't got to go out there and be ratchet, and they not ratchet.
Yeah.
So when you know that you got that in your surrounding midst, you give the big shout out to their mothers, you know what I'm saying, raised sisters. You give them a shout out, and then you even try to get a shout out to the men that's in, what I'm saying, their fathers that's in their life, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, this is the example. This is what it is. Too many times you got people to get online and they talk a whole big game, they say a whole lot, but if you go to their house, is that really how they living?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They talk organization, but when you go to their house, is that really how they are?
Yeah.
So at least here I can look and I can say, there go the example, there go my hope. I ain't worried about them. They holding it down. And if they make mistakes, hey, they quick to recognize, okay, I made a mistake. They get up and do what they gotta do.
Yeah.
So then I got a little baby niece. I ain't seen her because she was a little sick for a while. Then I got my nephew. I'm trying to get him into the edits. Like, listen, you're gonna learn how to edit this video.
Yeah.
You go to college, you can charge all these people how to do videos, and then you ain't got to pay for college. They'll be paying for your schooling. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, that's a real thing, man.
That's a real thing. I want him, because he's young, and I want him to develop already the business mind. I don't care what career you want to go do, but I want you to always have that business mind so you can say, you know what, I'm tired of working with you. I got a business mind. I'm set up, and I'm going there.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah. And so I gotta do it in front of them because again, it's not about here, just take this book and read and I hope you get it. It's about, really being there and setting that example before them. So I'm proud of them. I'm proud of all of them. And they, like I said, then I got a 23-year-old, he ain't out there on the corner. Salute to Sir Hill in the building, to my girl. Man, listen, you gotta get this one right here. This one right here. I'm gonna do a duel with her. she be on fire, boy. She did her first live yesterday. She was like, well, I wonder if stay right where you at. Stay with that tone. Get him, girl. She be on him. She be on him.
Yeah.
Sir Hill speaks in the building, and then we got to make sure you to my girl Lady A, if you're not subscribed, let's get it to 1,000, man. She all the way in the UK, and she don't be doing nothing but holding us down right here in the US.
Yeah, that's dope.
She be holding us down so much.
Yeah, that's dope.
So other than that, man, I done did this like 15-minute quick monologue about my family. I probably gotta now start cash after my nieces. They're gonna be like, what you talking about me on your show for? Don't be talking about us. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So how's your weekend going?
Man, it's going good, man. No complaints on my end. Just spending time with my son, the family, that's it, man. That's all you can ask for, man. I'm blessed, bro. I cannot complain at all, man.
How do you manage your time, with your son? I know you be on YouTube a lot, especially on that Anton Daniels show, that overnight. You be doing some overnight, be like, boy, I know I'm getting old. I can't hang like that.
Yeah, man. I think it's just trying to balance, because to me the people are energizing, so I've been in situations on that panel where, I start to lose a little bit of energy. I'm like, man, I'm about to tap out. And then somebody get on and just say something that, that kind of sparks a thought, and then it takes the conversation a totally different direction. So the people definitely play a role in, the energy level on the show, man. It's definitely beneficial. So
And
it,
Brett,
it gets it
what's
gets
the age
trying
group on that
sometimes.
show?
Was
What's
that?
about the age group on that show?
I mean, I've seen every age group, man. I'm talking because
Okay.
I'm 36. I've seen people tapping in from like 16, 17, all the way up to, people in their 60s.
Okay. Okay.
It's a very, it's a very wide range, It's,
Yeah.
depending on the topic and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a very wide range, man.
Yeah, because I usually see the thumbnail, when it's going up, but it's like, okay, that's not my type of conversation,
Yeah, see.
I don't blame nobody, but it's like, nah, that's not me, So a lot of times when I catch it, it's early in the morning, that topic is gone. Y'all on something totally different. Let me
Yeah.
give a big shout out. See, I got that UK money. $5 from the UK. Keep up the great work, Thank you. Thank you. So being that you do that, let's go back then, because your podcast is called Thinking Man Podcast. What is the concept of your podcast?
Yeah, so the podcast is the concept, and again, the show is called the Thinking Man's Podcast. So the concept for us is myself and Corey.
Right.
So the goal is not necessarily to come up with any solutions, and I know that it's counterintuitive, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the goal in the podcast is just to start and generate the conversation, because
Okay.
a lot of times there are topics that we kind of keep to ourselves, or things that we don't bring up behind closed doors. People avoid certain conversations. So
Right.
when we run across those certain topics, we try to bring them to light, and not to discourage anybody, or to, excuse me, disparage anybody, but just to bring those conversations out. And we've seen that when we do bring those conversations up,
Mm-hmm.
it sparks an interest, and it generates some feedback, and then that spawns another show. So we're
Okay.
just trying to bring up controversial topics, not, anything salacious, but more so along the lines of mental health, relationships, how we can come together, some things that divide us, and things of that nature. So we tend to bring up politics, not so much, but we talk about a whole lot of different things, a whole lot of different things.
Let me ask you something, because you used the word controversial.
Right.
Give me the definition.
Right. So for me, and this is just socially speaking, right?
Right.
So controversial is just things that are polarizing, that tend to divide people.
Mm-hmm.
So we bring those topics up from time to time, and
Okay.
try to have those conversations in a balanced way, if that makes any sense. Because a lot of times, like, if you see these conversations being had, whether it's political, maybe even sexual orientation or gender, all these different things, you see them on the media, it's always an extreme on the left and extreme on the right. There's no balance in the middle. So we try to, provide balance and differing perspectives, because Corey and I don't always agree, but we
Mm-hmm.
do it, but we disagree in a way that's respectful, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. The reason I asked you define controversial is because I come from the collegiate mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing off topic, collegiately speaking.
Right.
So even coming from New York, as a high school kid, as an early 20 something, even on the street, there was nothing really controversial. It was either you was on the left, you was on the right, or you was kind of in the middle. You was always in one of three areas. And a lot of times the best of the conversations was always in the gray area. It was where, let's say you started on the left, you really didn't go to the full right, but you was able to take some of the stuff on the right and be like, okay, I can see that point, and add that, and then you had a higher level of thinking.
Right.
Now, you said you stay off of politics.
Yeah.
I'm gonna challenge you on that. Why?
Well, I think that, when I say that, it's more so along the lines of, Democrat or Republican. We just have discussions. Now, whether certain conversations lean in one direction or the other, that's for other people to determine and label themselves, if that
Okay.
makes any sense. So we
It does.
definitely, yeah. So that's what I mean by that.
Okay. I would, to add to that conversation, I would say when it comes to politics, because that happened to be my degree. So it's like I'm a poli-sci head all the way. Leave off the parties, start talking about policy.
There we go.
And if you talk about policy, that is the truth of politics. It is not the party, it is the policy, and when you understand policy over party, it'll really make you take the deep dive. So I give you an example. You have some that says, I believe one God, one man, one woman, family. But they vote with a party that doesn't believe that. So now that's the deeper dive question.
Hey, I'm gonna let the poli-sci.
I'm gonna come up in here since you went down that pipeline.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. This is it's a difficult one because so it depends on your ideology or your thought process, right? So for me personally, I may have certain beliefs or ways that I feel, but I'm not going to project those things on other people. So, everybody grew up a lot of people grew up in grandma's kitchen.
Right. Give me an example.
You've seen the sign over the door, at the door, it says, "As for me and my house." You know what I mean? So,
right.
So when I say that, I'm saying that, I have my certain beliefs, right? And we can have whatever conversation, but I'm not going to project those views on other people and tell people how they should live their lives. And that's where, so when you say, you have people that believe certain things, but they vote in a different direction, I can kind of understand how that would be the case, if that makes any sense.
It does. It does. Let me know when y'all get ready to have that conversation. Just don't have it at like 1 o'clock. I'm an old man. Don't have me up that late. Else I gotta wake up the next day, see the replay, then email both of y'all, be like, hey man, let me give y'all this point, this.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an interesting topic though. I'm open to, because you have obviously a lot more experience at this than I do. I'm open to, trying to understand, because that's my goal in every conversation, is not necessarily to disprove, but just to, understand and, get a different perspective. Do you think that is beneficial for people to believe one way if you would like to go down this path? Because I'm just trying to understand. Do you think it's beneficial for people to believe one thing and vote in a different direction as it relates to other households?
I believe the way politics is supposed to work, and I really do think in the holistic sense, it does work this way. I just don't think a lot of people is educated this way.
Okay.
When you look at politics, it means governance. And in that ideal of governance, it means that each individual want to be represented according to their own theoretically self-centered needs. Okay. And without getting into the deep philosophy of it, but that's the basic essence of it. And so the way the Democrat is supposed to operate is there's a group of us that might have a core belief, right? So you have that core belief and we vote on our core beliefs, and we find that one person that's going to represent us both in the city, in the state, in the Congress, and in the Senate, that's supposed to represent our core beliefs. Now, the way it really operates is that one group does not really dominate the other group, because you're always going to have a minority to kind of push back on the majority. Right. So that's the true essence of voting in a democratic election. Now, as far as on the ground level, you first want to be represented as locally as possible. And then you're supposed to move all the way up to the federal government level. Theoretically in government, and this is where it gets controversial because there's some racial stuff that goes with this. But in theory, it is supposed to be state over federal. And when I say state over federal, meaning states' rights over the federal government. The reason that become controversial is because when those arguments came up, it was over slavery. So, you know what I'm saying? That's why I say right there, it becomes a historically touchy topic. But if we were just to take it from the holistic sense,
Right.
that's how it should be, holistically. You don't want the federal government in what, let's say, state of Virginia, don't want everything that the federal government wants to do. State of Virginia kind of want to operate like state of Virginia. New York want to operate like New York. Federal government just want to oversee the whole nation as a whole. But when it comes to voting, I do believe that we should be voting who we are in our personal essence, not necessarily our color. You know, that's controversial. But our essence. So who are you in essence, and what needs do you need taken care of? So in other words, let's say, for example, I'm a business owner. So as a business owner, I'm going to look after my taxes. So I want the party that's going to save me taxes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just the right thing to do. So I'm going to vote for the party that's going to save me taxes. Right. Where, say, if you're, middle class and you live in a certain kind of way, you may want the party that's going to represent where you're at. So you have those checks and balances. So that's where it really aligns itself. I think politics is very interesting, because of understanding, well, how did, since we throw up colors sometimes, how do we go from being Republican one particular history to being Democrat another history? But see, I always give everybody the monkey wrench that they don't know, especially a lot of young people.
No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Republican Party, it's like they switched.
Well, see, we was Republican, right?
Yeah.
We went Democrat.
Yeah.
Okay, now, for all my political science heads, when did the upper middle class go independent?
I'm going to let you answer that one.
Your generation had a Bernie Sanders. We had one too in the 90s, before there was a Bill Clinton. We had Lucchese, his name just escaped me. He was the leader of the Independent Party right around when Bill Clinton was just starting to run for presidential office. He came out of Texas. And he used to work for IBM. Then he owned his own business. Salute to Red Lipstick Vibes. He was a strong independent, and he fought against NAFTA. He began educating a lot of people, especially African Americans, that if they signed NAFTA into law, it would remove.
You about to make me Google. Now I got to get on. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So he was from Texas, correct?
He's from Texas. He was independent, and he was running during the Clinton's first election and George Bush, Papa Bush's first term.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to.
Will Purdue. Hold on. Because I'm talking so fast, but I know what I'm talking about.
So he ran for president, is that correct?
Yeah, hold on. I'm going to get you that name. Independent candidate.
Is it Ross Perot?
There you go. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Look. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
We ain't signed and put it in there. Yeah. Ross Perot. And Ross Perot was a powerful independent candidate. Let me tell you how powerful he was. He was so powerful. He was our Bernie Sanders, right? That every black person left the Democratic Party, went independent. If he did not fall out of the election, Bill Clinton would have never won the election. Little history there.
Learn something new every day.
In the 90s, But yeah. So that right there is what galvanized me into understanding politics and understanding higher level thinking and everything else. And then, going to school and really studying governance. So that's just a way of helping you to kind of, when you go back to the table, you don't necessarily have to say, well, Republicans did this, Democrats did this. Go back and say, well, wait a minute, what policy is good for this group versus this group?
Yeah.
And have people take the deep dive. I'll tell you another thing that I'm gonna have, let you take the deep dive on. You ready?
Come on, let's get it.
I want you to take, now this for your later, so we'll even do this at a later podcast. I want you to take the deep dive and say, which party sent more people to prison? And which party in reality did more African American men pass away?
Okay. Now
that's a later subject.
Okay. I'm not gonna throw my bet in there just yet. Because the war on drugs and
right.
Three strikes and
yes, sir.
That's a lot.
But in reality, when you talk about, hey, we got this podcast and we want to get into controversy, that's what you take back and say, hold on, Uncle Stu was throwing some questions. Let's take a deep dive into what's some of these answers that he's asking us to take the deep dive in.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to talk about it, you can talk about it and still do it the same way.
Yeah.
Let's not look at the solution. Look at solution for us, like my platform. We're going to look at the solution.
Yeah.
But then take the deep dive just to make people take the deeper conversation. Yeah. We all ain't got to be at the same place. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say if you might be into, this particular social issue, go for it.
Yeah.
Fight for what you believe in. But then at the same time, also understand why maybe people might be thinking this way.
Yeah.
And then you can say, okay, I see that. I'm not going to call black people that may think this way Uncle Tom and a sellout, because they may not be in my economic class.
Right.
And we got to understand what they're really looking at versus what I may be looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are looking at the trees, man. And as you move up in life, you start to see over the trees, and you start to see things a lot differently.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Revolution in history, believe it or not, there's only a couple of seats that changed parties. That was Storm Thurmond.
Yes, Storm
from
Thurmond.
D to R in the 70s, and Wayne Morris from R to D in the 60s. Yes. I'm just throwing out some stuff for you to take notes and go on and take it back so I can get some answers.
Hey, man, we're going to do it.
And then only thing I want to know, go ahead. I'm gonna have you write this down. You ready?
Come on, let's get it.
Why is it that black people did not go for Bill Clinton after he showed up on our Arsenio Hall show playing the saxophone?
Let's not do this. Let's not do this. Let's not do this. But hey, what's crazy is you see it time and time again. And then you see, and if you think about it, it's funny you said that, right? The saxophone and stuff like that. And then you see Hillary Clinton go on the Breakfast Club and mention hot sauce and stuff like that. And they come from the same household, same, thought process to a certain extent. Right. And you see those different tactics being deployed. And I wonder if people are very aware of, things that people are doing to appeal to them, their thought processes, as opposed to like what you're saying. Let's focus on the policies, because if you focus on the policies, all of those different antics and personality contests and all that stuff, that's out the window. Let's focus on the facts. That's very important.
In order to focus on facts, you got to get out of feelings.
Yeah.
And as long as they're teaching you how to feel, then they're teaching you no longer how to think. So as long as you make me feel good, I'm gonna vote for you. Yeah. If you make me feel bad, I'm not gonna vote for you. So I'm all about feelings and not about facts. facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
See,
That's
and when we don't study facts over feelings, we never get to the truth.
yeah, that's a difficult one
Truth
because
as you can see it, not necessarily my truth, because one of the things that I try never to do is, and it goes back to what you originally said, do not, I don't come from the imposing side. I come from read all of this, study this, learn this, and then this might help you to understand how we got here.
yeah.
Then you can say, because you got to remember, in the moment, you could be 100% right in your moment, and then look back and say, oh, shoot, what I thought was right 5 years ago, the outcome didn't turn out the way I thought. Not because you didn't think, it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So when we talk about integration, what they thought was going to happen, there was no way they can predict the latter stuff happening. So how in the world can they prepare for something that you could not foresee?
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, this is
So
3D,
right.
3-dimensional chess, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I can't blame what happened in the civil rights era and then say, see, it was y'all fault, when this is impossible for them to have predicted all of these other facets.
Yeah.
Just like if you speak to my father, right before Barack Obama got elected, there was I grew up with, you could be anything you want to be in the United States except president.
Yeah.
So can you imagine that growing up? Except you can be astronaut, you can be engineer, you can be a doctor, you can be all these different things. You can be a senator, you can be a judge, you can be a lawyer. But the one thing that you can't be is president of the United States. So then to see a black man reach that office is why somebody like Jesse Jackson can cry in tears.
Yeah. Because
he did something none of us could conceptually see.
Yeah.
So that's grew up in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. So I see things differently. Absolutely. Ms. Mills, here it is. So we got to understand that. Danny G, what he got? What he got to say? Well, I didn't know I was going to have all these political minded people up in here.
Yeah, you said it was controversial.
Yes, sir. Destroyed the academy, our rights production, national product. Bill Clinton did admit his administration did the same thing to Haiti. Woo! Look, like if I drop the stream, boy, I'm gonna have some real deep thought thinkers. I got some Haitians in the house. I got Luke. Now Luke is gonna give me some books. Now I'm gonna tell you. See, Luke be helping me on my library. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's just something to take back.
Yeah.
Something to take back. So that's why sometimes you see me being real sensitive. When people start saying, well, blame this or go after this one or this, and I go, wait a minute now. Do you know what this person did? Now, you may not have to like this part about them. That's fine. But you better recognize some of their historical things. And then you can say, oh man, when they did this. That's why if you ever hear me talk about it, you always hear me talk about the Million Man March. So before there was a manosphere, we had the Million Man March.
Yeah.
That was the most conservative black movement you ever could find.
Yeah.
And I always say, stop looking at KS. Go back to the 90s. We was talking the same way back then. The highest Supreme Court person, that's why you don't hear him talk no more. Clarence Thomas. That's another name you don't have to like his politics, but look at what the government did. Look at the feminist movement that went after him with a vengeance. With a vengeance. And when I say
write this down, so.
Yes, sir. Go study Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas. Go study that case. I'll give you the political history of the 90s real good. because a lot of stuff that happened in the 90s is really why a lot of stuff is going on today. So that's when you get to study what was the effects of NAFTA. That's when your economy got shifted. What was the Million Man March about in 1995, and who was against that march? You better recognize who was against it. What was the women saying in 1997? That was their Million Women March.
It's a lot. History, man. It's a never ending thing. Like
Yeah.
one thing ties into another.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to one of the most famous quotations, which is a man that doesn't know his history, or people without the knowledge of their history, is like a tree without roots. It will not grow. So one of the most stagnating things that we have, and again, I'm tapping into my, history teacher mindset, is we don't have people that, and I don't even want you to go back slavery. Do you know your history going back 25 years? Do you just know your history 30 years? Just go back 20 years.
Yeah, but this is the benefit of the elders too, right? So when you think about these, this is why conversations are necessary, because you can read something, but if you have someone from that time period to to mold it, to kind of explain the loose ends to make it make sense, that's very important. We need our elders. We need our elders to give us this information and give us the context, because a lot of times when you read certain things, it's without the context, if that makes any sense.
It does.
So even, and we're starting to see it even in our textbooks now. I'm in Texas, so
Okay.
with them trying to remove certain things out of the books that the children are reading. So
Mhm.
you're starting to see, like what the other person hit on the comment you brought up about revisionist history. So
Right.
you're starting to see it now happen right in front of people's eyes, like it's happening real time, that they're
Right.
trying to revise certain things to kind of shift the thought process of the country. It's a lot of, different, politics is very interesting to me,
Mhm.
because I really don't see a true divide between politics and history. They start to overlap, when you start to specialize, or, like focus on one particular subject,
Mhm.
they overlap and they work with each other. Like all of this stuff is relative. Everything goes hand in hand.
Absolutely, because if you don't understand Jesse Jackson, then you need to really sit down, because this is a man that number one, whether you like his politics or not, he's the one that created the first Rainbow Coalition before he got hijacked by another group.
Hmm.
Jesse Jackson, when he ran for president, he knew he couldn't make it at that time. But what did he do? What did Jesse Jackson do? He was the only man that created a political infrastructure that benefited both the Republican and the Democratic Party.
Hmm.
He built that system. Then he turned around, and his organization is still in Chicago, the Rainbow Coalition, where he educates young African American men, women of all races, creeds, and color to be actively involved in local and social politics as a whole. And although he's known as in the Democratic circle, his organization is still educating youth today.
Yeah. I don't, I mean, like I said, this is not my Uncle Stu. I'm learning.
Hey,
As
that's
you
why I
see
said
it, look,
take notes.
you think I'm joking. Look, Stu, Uncle Stu, you think I'm taking notes.
Right.
I'm definitely taking notes, because this stuff is important.
Yeah.
Having an understanding of history, and hearing you speak on it, man, it's definitely some research that I have to go back and do.
Yeah.
Definitely got to do some digging.
Yeah. You heard of the Central Park Five?
I did. Yeah, I've heard of them.
Okay. Do you know who was the main mouth of the North for fighting from the very beginning to the very end? I live in New York.
I'm a guess. I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
guess.
Okay.
Are we going with? I'm gonna go with. I might have to phone a friend. but it
Okay.
just, you know what I'm
I like that one.
saying?
I like
No,
that
but
one.
are we going with Al?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I
Yes.
I pay a
Yeah.
little I pay attention a little bit.
Al Sharpton, see, New York is one of those, every city got their unique politics. Al Sharpton was the biggest fighter for the Central Park Five, Tawana Brawley case. He dealt with a lot of police brutality issues.
Yeah, you about to get me in this Google, man.
Yes, sir.
Where is
Yes,
Al
sir.
Sharpton? Where is Al Sharpton from, brother?
New
If you don't
York
mind.
City, sir.
He's from NY. Okay.
And why?
Yeah.
So, and Al Sharpton has an organization, and where again he did just like what's his name did. He has an organization where he teaches young people, and a lot of these people are college students, political science students that actually go to his organization to study grassroots social politics. Again, doesn't matter the party. You're getting the lessons and the teachings of exactly what he does. Again, you don't have to like his politics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But his work needs to be respected.
Yeah, but is there really and truly any politician? I would even go out as far as
Right.
to say any person
Mhm.
that you agree with their lifestyle, their thought process, their beliefs 100%.
No.
Right. So it's kind of difficult to, when you see people say, well, I'm not gonna, you know, vote for this person or deal with that person just because of their party affiliation. When
Mhm.
you haven't even dug into their policies or their thought processes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's why I try to stay away from and I in agreement with what you were saying. Let's talk about the policies. Let's not talk about the party affiliations,
Mhm. Mhm.
because you got some people that are staunch supporters of certain things and they're extreme on one end, but then you have people that are more centrist in their thought process and policies. So
Yeah. Well, one of the things that Casey and a couple of others that are, that comes to the platform, they want me to talk about politics, but it's such a deep dive,
very deep.
you know, um, because there's layers to that thing, and when you start studying political philosophy versus political history, and then you deal with the various dynamics of it, it becomes, for me, I get on a high over it, you know what I'm saying, because it's
Yeah.
like I can see all the philosophy, and and I can see the dynamics. I can see certain things that other people really can't see because they're either speaking to political pundits over political scientists. Political scientists see something totally different. So where, let's say, people who like sports, they get into all the numbers that I take the deep dive into all the numbers, like, okay, why did this group vote this way, and why did this happen, and da 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 da. So yeah, it there is some things that is not talked about. And so when you do that, and then the latter part that I say is, my attitude is, if you don't like somebody, see if you're willing to do their sacrifice.
Hmm.
Instead of trying to get 10K subscribers, go see if you can get 10K signatures
Hmm.
and go out there and be a politician.
Yeah.
Give up your wife, give up your kids, and go sacrifice for the greater good of this country. Because what everybody don't know is that same Jesse Jackson lost his son because of all the pressure. Mind you, he's under the microscope.
Yeah.
His son also ran for office in Chicago, ended up having a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
So if you want to be one of them, go for it. See, my attitude is, don't talk about it, be about it. A lot of people ain't willing to do that. A lot of people ain't willing to go out there and fall on the sword
Yeah.
and sacrifice their family in the process.
Yeah. That's what comes with it for sure.
That's right. Everybody don't know how many times Al Sharpton went to jail. So he was without his daughters for the greater good of the community. Again, you don't have to like his politics. I don't care if you don't like his politics. but are you willing to do his sacrifice?
Yeah.
A lot of people ain't willing to go down that road. A lot of people ain't willing to say, "Nah, I don't want to do that now. Nah, that's all right. You do that. I ain't doing that." Think about it. We do you think Obama's children will ever be the same ever again in life?
No, I think it's good and bad on both sides. It's stuff that you have to deal with. There, from my experience, there's a yin and a yang to everything.
Right.
To everything. So
Right.
you know, when you look at things with rose-colored glasses on, you think it's just one way. But there are so many different variables, like what you were talking about, as far as you know, history and people not being able to see because it being three-dimensional chess. A lot of people want certain things, and then when they get them, they didn't realize all the sacrifices that they would have to make in order to attain those things.
Mhm.
A lot of people miss that because they focus on the end result, but they don't see the things that you lose in the process.
That's right.
Yeah, so trust me, I get it. 100%.
Right. That's right. Do you? But in certain narratives, I mean, on YouTube, unfortunately, it was a lot of fathers that wasn't around.
Yeah.
And you have certain narratives that says, "Hey, the latter generation messed up. The latter generation didn't do enough. The latter generation didn't pass the baton. The latter generation didn't sacrifice enough. The latter generation didn't do this. The latter generation didn't do that." And a lot of people who lived that generation was that they hurt. You have certain the younger generation will say they're more traumatized than the older generation. There's an equal of trauma. Um, I'm getting ready to have Nielsen counseling on, and we're going to deal with that word because that's a very loose word to me. Again, I'm speaking more intellectually than I am psychologically.
You're talking about trauma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say a loose word because I want it from a therapeutic understanding versus our intellectual understanding.
Right. So the definition of trauma is an emotional response to a terrible event, like an
Right.
accident, R word, or a natural disaster.
Right.
Right. So yeah, I
We
think
have
that
to,
it's very subjective, right?
yeah,
So because I've seen individuals that, you know, grew up in the same household and one sister looked at it one way and the other sister looked at it like that was a traumatic you know, environment or
mhm,
experience. It
yeah,
just the way that each one of them internalizes is completely different.
yeah. And that's when I want to take a deep dive with Nielsen counseling on, the dynamics from that, because I don't have a psychiatry background. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's take a deep dive into those dynamics and how do we handle, those dynamics, because it goes just to what you said. One minute, two people can grow up in the same household, same parents.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm with a twin. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got two twins grow up in the same household, same parents, eat the same food, go through, and totally characteristically is two totally different people.
I mean, if I don't know how far you want to go with it, but I mean, biblically speaking, like I mean, since almost the beginning of time, it's been that like you two were raised in the same environment and you chose to do this to your brother.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Same parents, same thing. And you, something, you know, inside of you, what that is, I think we'll debate until the end of time.
Right.
You went a different direction and the other brother went a different direction. You
Right.
know, it's, so for me, when I look at that, that tells me that it'll never go away.
Right. But at the same time, this is where I say you smell and breathe and smile. And it sounds so philosophical, utopia. But the fact that you can think that way allows you to be a little bit at peace. It allows you not always to engage in every argument.
Right.
It allows you to say, I get the argument, and it allows you what I call living in the gray mindset. Living in the gray mindset just means I see both sides,
Right.
Today, I'm not going to choose a side if I don't have to, but I can see both sides and
Well,
love them the
this is
same.
the thing. Like
So, go ahead.
with the discussion on YouTube that I had seen, I think it was a day or so ago, as it relates to, the elders failing the generation that came next. I think it was more so the elders not acknowledging.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the overall tone that I
Mm-hmm.
got from that conversation, is that there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of elders who don't acknowledge the things that were done that, you know, we consider to be traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know what
I
I
think
mean?
that comes at least for me, because I can only speak for what I've done.
Right.
That comes from everybody not sitting down and studying history to understand, because you have to narrow mistakes down. So
Mhm.
you remember I said earlier, I said there are some things that may have been right in our mindset in 95
Correct.
that 5, 10 years later
Yeah.
may have been wrong. But guess what? Even when you see that it went wrong, you still can't get that genie out the bottle. So let's take 85. 85, or I'm just going to speak of the 80s. That's called the crack era in a whole lot of major cities.
Man,
When it first got started,
let's drink this coffee right
yeah,
quick.
yeah, yeah. You gotta drink that coffee because it's getting ready to get deep. When it first got started, right? Most of your drug dealers were really old weed drug dealers. When they started selling crack, it was fast money. And it's gonna be a real sensitive statement to make. I don't believe they even recognized the damage that was about to take place in the black community.
I don't disagree with that. I think it was something new, and I think a lot of those guys that did that stuff out of ignorance, one, to be operating in that type of space,
Right,
but short-sighted, they had
right,
no idea what it was that they were selling to a
right.
certain extent. They just knew people kept coming back, and it was highly addictive over time.
Exactly. And then when you look at there's a if you look at the rap record Self-Destruction, I'm gonna show you how funny how and it still messes me up to this day. You ready? If you look at the album Self-Destruction, one of the most powerful albums of that time, it talked about the crack era, talked about all the stuff that was going on, mainly in New York, because New York was the hip hop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. The Mecca.
The Mecca. Now then it shifted to NWA, F the police, this and that. And to me, I find an irony that here in New York was saying, hey, we got some stuff that we doing to ourselves. We need to stop this destructive behavior. We can't blame the white man, y'all. Because if you look at the album, it don't talk about no white people.
Hmm.
Talk about us.
Yeah.
Houses, get yourself together. We got to stop doing this foolish stuff. We killing ourselves. We destroying ourselves. One of the most famous lines in there is, I never had to run from the Ku Klux Klan. Why in the world am I running from a black man?
Yeah.
You feel me? So
Yeah.
when you really look at that, and the video is still out, go look at that video. And then look how rapidly all of a sudden we was getting music from NWA and what they were saying. And then all of a sudden, gangster rap was pushed hard and heavy.
How far are we going with this?
You know, so
Yeah.
when we start to look at these dynamics,
Yeah.
right? And you seeing those dynamics, you got to remember people was living in the dynamic. So with that dynamic going on, and then the latter end of Ronald Reagan going into the Clinton era, what would have been the biggest push of all time? Stop this crack by any means necessary. Could anybody, and now Al Sharpton was against the crime bill. Why? Because we saw two different things. The ones that were selling the cocaine was getting less time than the ones that were selling crack. But the argument was crack was killing more people than the actual powder cocaine. At least that was the dual argument.
Yeah, but see, look, in that argument, but nobody ever deals with how it even got here.
Exactly, but guess what? Do you understand the whole thing? So by the time you catch up, guess how many years it is now?
Yeah.
Now we're looking at 10. We're looking at 15. So a lot of these missing fathers you're talking about came up under all of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I can sit here and say, yes, this happened, that happened. But then I don't know who we talking about, because if you come to me and I start talking about it, you know what you're going to call me? A sellout, a Uncle Tom, a coon, because I'm going to tell you, well, we was listening. There you go. Here it is. See, now the reason I'm bringing him up, because me and him is 2 years apart and we both grew up in New York. We was all in the same gang with Eazy-E. He's saying the same thing I just got finished saying. So we can give the apology. I can give the apology for a whole generation of people. Here's where the pain comes from. Okay, so now what you gonna do? Now that you got the apology, what we gonna do now?
Yeah.
You feel me? Because once again, once you deal with all of that social dynamic, and mind you, that's what created the suburbs. See, that's what created the remigration from people who lived in the north going down to the south. That's what created your new Atlanta. That's what created your new Charlotte. That's what created your new Houston, Texas. So while there was a damage in the inner city, it also created the black suburbs. Then you got Washington, D.C., Marion Barry created, trying to think that area in Maryland. Lord, now it just won't come to me. Area in Marion that is now considered like the big Hollywood, Silver Springs, Maryland. You know, and everything he did. That's why he was able to get elected, lose the election over what? Crack cocaine, and come right back and win the election. You see, so there's a whole lot of area that we can sit around. We can blame everybody. But if you don't really sit down and really get the full history, it's almost hard to say, okay, I want y'all to apologize but see, you brought up a good point. Yes, a generation can apologize for what happened in the 80s. But at the same time, you got to take the deeper dive.
Yeah.
So if you're not willing to say, okay, XDMC, how was it growing up between 18 and 35?
Yeah.
Because you have a son, right?
Most definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind me asking, how old is your son?
He'll be 3 shortly.
Okay. And you're living life right now.
Most definitely.
Okay. You're on YouTube right now.
Most definitely.
Right. You're spending your time trying to educate everybody, right?
Correct. And educate myself.
And educate yourself. Okay. 20 years from now, you sitting around, you got 100K, right? Got your crew. Y'all doing big things on the podcast. How much time have you taken away from your son?
It's an opportunity cost to everything, that's for sure.
Do you say that word one more time?
Yeah, opportunity cost.
So don't you think that there's a group of people who took a what? Opportunity cost that did not realize what the cost was going to be?
Correct.
So how many 50-year-olds do you see on YouTube?
Not very many. You're starting to see some, but not as many.
So that's why we got to take what the opportunity for those who are over 50, no matter where they are, to say, look, I couldn't get it from this 50-year-old, and maybe I didn't get it from these 60-year-old. Can I get it from you?
Yeah.
Can I get it from you, XDMC? Can I get it from you, Uncle Stu? Can I get it from you, JT? I mean, Mosaic.
Yeah.
Can I get it from you, security boss? Why? Because what are we doing? We're saying, hey, we're here. We're here to give it back to you. Thinking Man Podcast, better more than 100.
I know, right? Hey,
I
I,
know. I done gave a low number, right?
we doing something wrong.
Right.
No, but I think to that point, I think there's validity there, right? I just think that an apology is necessary. It's not the solution. It's not, it doesn't stop with an apology, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
So
That's why there got to be action behind every reaction.
yeah.
See, no one is justifying.
Well, but look, let's do this. Like, so I think
Sure,
that
sure.
in our families, because a lot of times the pushback that you're seeing in this space is that Uncle Stu, you're representing the family members, and not you necessarily, but just
It's all right.
you're representing the family members that, when we talk about elders, that did not have the conversation, that refuse to have the conversation, that don't have the wherewithal or the awareness to have the conversation. They're in denial of their role, because when I'm listening to you, I hear an awareness and an acknowledgement of the role of that generation and how it all ties in. There are individuals who are not even aware or conscious of the impact that they had on the generation that preceded them, or excuse me, that came after them. You know what I mean? So I think that's what you're getting, and it's not necessarily you, because Uncle Stu, obviously you don't represent that particular group of individuals in that time period. But there are a lot of people that are our elders, and I was, for me, and I even put it in the chat at that point
Yeah,
that
I agree
you
100%
know
with your assessment. Yeah.
yeah, everybody that's old is not an elder. And I think
Right.
people really need to really, really think about that. Everybody, and it takes some pain, because you kind of rose colored glasses. You just assume when you're younger that everybody old is an elder. No,
Mhm.
everybody old is not an elder. Because
Right.
elder, it's a responsibility that comes with being an elder.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of people in our families, when you try to go have conversations about things that happened in the past, and as you got older, you realize that certain things weren't right. They are in complete denial of it, and then they do try to justify, okay, well, I did it because X, Y, and Z. Okay, that's fine. The justification, I'm not looking for that. It's the apology. It's the, I'm sorry, I apologize for hurting you, or having you go through certain situations. I didn't know that it would impact you that way. And then you can move on into having a relationship, because I also was kind of speaking on that too. Like, you have to have, before you can have influence, you have to have a relationship.
Mhm.
So if you can't apologize and you're justifying, it doesn't create the bridge that's necessary between you and a person that was injured by whatever you did. It doesn't make you a bad person, but the apology is normally the bridge for the relationship to repair itself. So once the apology occurs, then you can have a discussion that furthers the conversation and helps everybody grow from it. Because from my perspective, to
Mhm.
hear your child, or to hear somebody that had a different perspective than you about a certain situation, there's
Mhm.
always something to glean from that. And I think that that's important. So, when you hear people say, well, the elders, they don't do X, Y, and Z, they're not talking about everybody as a whole. They're talking about the people in their lives, that they've experienced, and having these conversations, and it falling on deaf ears, and people just justifying or not even apologizing, or saying, oh, you're weak, X, Y, and Z. And a lot of elders have not sought out mental help. They have not sought out therapy to even know what they're doing and why it's wrong. So they're not even open to therapy. And a lot of times, if you're not open to therapy, you're not open to a differing perspective, you're gonna hurt people. And I think that's what that conversation was kind of speaking to, that there's a generation of people, not an entire generation, but there are a lot of, because therapy is, our generation is starting to now be open to going to therapy, and talking these things out. When you had a generation that preceded us that thought that, mental health and therapy and going to therapy, you had to be crazy to go to therapy. They had a very antiquated view, or it wasn't even accurate on what
Mhm.
therapy actually represented. And so, like what you were saying, there is a certain level of ignorance that comes when you look back on history, but that's in every aspect. So I completely understand what you're saying. We're operating with the knowledge that we have today. Obviously, looking back on history, if we're evolving, which is should be the case, when we look back on history, we should see a whole lot of problems with the way things were done. We've evolved. That's how it's supposed to go. So, like I said, I see it on both sides.
Well,
You know what I mean?
let me take it deeper. Let me take it deeper. You have to do two things in the process. And this I hope I can help somebody with. Hear the duality of the argument. Ready? I can make that same argument with everybody from the civil rights movement. I can make that same argument with my dad, with my mom, with the 60s. Y'all owe us an apology. We don't care about you being hung on trees. We don't care about the black, white.
Appreciate you, Big Bad Bull. Thank you, sir. My first member. Salute, salute.
What's up, Big Bad Bull? How you doing, bro?
We don't care about the tree hanging. We don't care about the Ku Klux Klan. You did this. It destroyed this economy. It did this. It did that. And you owe us an apology. I think that is, from a humbling standpoint, and because I know therapy, and again, I'm going to verify this with a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times in therapy, they want you to acknowledge the issue. They want you to acknowledge the pain. And then they teach you how to live that out. You're talking to somebody that got therapy under his belt.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't go back to my victim or the person that victimized me and force them to give me an apology. You know why? There's no therapist that I know of. Now, again, I'm going to hang that part up because I got them coming Wednesday. So,
yeah.
And I'm going to verify. So I can be wrong, and I'm going to go to him and I'm going to ask him. So you just hang down on the question and say, okay, Uncle Stu said he going to bring this up to Nielsen Counseling Wednesday about that. To ask for an apology. I believe, this is me, if the person that is directly affected you, for example, if I'm dealing with my oldest daughter and I did something raising her up personally, that conversation is me and my oldest daughter. I owe her an apology for how I affected her.
Yes.
I don't owe a generation an apology.
Yes.
And that is where I am trying to get the focus. Just like you're talking, I can hear you say, or anybody in my chat, if a 20-year-old came to me and say, Uncle Stu, I'm hurting because of X, Y, and Z. I didn't have a dad in my life. I didn't really have an uncle in my life. I didn't have this in my life.
Yeah.
But I've been online. I've been watching you. I've been hearing you talk, whatever. I see. Then it is my authority, my position, my humility to say, I can be the father that you never had. I can be that uncle you never had. I can be that elder that you never had. I'm here. You can call me. You can talk to me. You can do this. You can do that. You know what I'm saying? That open door policy. But if you come to me and say, well, your generation owes me, I'm a still argue and take it back. Dude, you can't say a generation. That's called displaced anger.
Correct.
That displaced anger, I'm going to make you say, I need you to go talk to your dad about that. I need you to, because I was being a father. Even if I didn't cross all the T's and dot all the I's, I was there for mine. So you can't, the only one that can blame me for anything in their life is my kids.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying? So
Yes.
that's what I'm trying to get the focus. It's just like, for example, I can't sit there and be hurt by my ex-wife. I'm gonna just use her as the example. My ex-wife did XYZ, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm gonna turn around and just say, all the women that look like my ex-wife, act like my ex-wife, all of y'all. And it's like, well, wait a minute now. All of them didn't do it. I have to keep it where it is. Now, we can argue, and I can give you that argument. If you say, Uncle Stu, can you explain this? Because this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And I say to you, yeah, this was the error. And here's the effects of that error. And I give you the overarching history of that era. I can tell you some fathers was in prison. Some fathers died on drugs. Some fathers was stuck on drugs. I can give you that. Yeah. And at least it gives you an overarching understanding of how you got here. Same thing with, I can sit there and go, well, Dad, I don't understand, how you go from being in deep red South with all of this crazy stuff going on. But when you sent your son to an all-white private school. Can you imagine my dynamic where my dad can't stand white folk?
Yeah.
But he sends his son to an all-white. So it's like, well, wait a minute now. Do you understand? And then I go to an all-white private school. Now I'm about to mess up the chat. As pro-black as I am, do you know I didn't recognize I was black until I was 16? But you don't want to know how I know that. Because when I tell you that, that's really going to mess you up. You ready? I didn't know I was black until I was 16. Why? Because I didn't talk the black vernacular. Yeah. I didn't dress the black way.
Is there a black vernacular? Is there a black way?
Hey, see.
Look, I can't.
You're about to make me go a whole nother direction.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, hey, I was actually talking with my dad about this, and he asked that I bring it up on the podcast as well, and we'll at some point dig into being a minority within a minority.
I am. I'm a duality. So you're about to make ex-DMC come out of retirement. I know he in the back. He about to come out of retirement now. Like, don't have me up here talking about New York by myself, bro.
Yeah, I think, but what you were hitting on is important.
I always say New York City is just unique in and of itself. You understand? Yeah. It's hard because when I moved to the South, it was a total. When I say difference, I'm talking night and day. I ain't even talking gray.
Yeah,
I'm talking history. I'm talking, forget culture because my family from the South, but I'm talking history. Just to teach you on history alone, two different aspects. The idea of your child. You go to school. My oldest daughter is in school, and she's talking about Northern aggression. And you saying, wait a minute, the who? Northern aggression. That is called civil rights. I mean, that is called the Civil War. But in the South, they were still teaching Northern aggression.
Yeah.
So you already got two totally different histories being taught.
Well,
you see what I'm saying?
No,
then you got to remember what was the news, what is always taught. It's always taught New Yorkers are aggressive, we're arrogant, we're loud, we this, we that. We everything but human beings. But then I'm going to drop another bombshell. We really, in its depthness, you ready to hear this? We really didn't understand racism as a black and white issue. We understood cultural stuff because white people didn't just say, I'm white. Either they was Jewish, Italian, Irish,
Yeah.
French, Germany, Russian. You better not call a Puerto Rican a Dominican. You better not call a Dominican a Cuban. You better not call a Cuban a Mexican. You better not call a Jamaican a Trinidadian. Do you understand? So you really had to know who the heck you was talking to. You couldn't just look at them by color and say, you black, I'm black, he white. So now you get to the South.
Yeah.
Everything is either black, white, or Mexican.
Yeah.
Do you know how it feels when you in the South and I see a Puerto Rican and I go, hey man, you Puerto Rican, aren't you? And their whole house, their face just light up.
Yeah.
Because somebody didn't call them a Mexican, they called them a Puerto Rican. And then I even get deep and say, are you a New Yorican or Puerto Rican? That just take them to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Because they understand what that means. You see what I'm saying? So you have that too. So sometimes that's where I try to get people to understand, like, who are you talking to? What city are you from? I have to literally narrow it down. What city are you from? How old are you? That's the only way I can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because if you only grew up in the South, I kind of know where you at. Don't mean you slow, it means you was taught something different. It
Correct.
means you wasn't in a certain cultural environment. Just like when people was talking about these 6 figures, and I scratched my head going, my parents were making 6 figures in New York back in. So, what are y'all talking about?
Yeah.
People don't understand. They say, well, this is, and I'm going, no. You have to allow me to take the deep dive, because you're not looking at a man that just lived in a 4-story building. You're looking at a man that's traveled the United States. You're looking at a man that has traveled the world. So I have a whole global mindset that allows me to see things a little bit different. So I get the conversation. I really do. As much as people think I don't, I do. But if you're not willing to be like Thinking Man Podcast and sit back and go, oh, I never saw it that way. Oh, I never understood it that way. Now, when I say the healing can begin, because now you can say, you know what? I understand that generation, but now I need to go to my father or my mother.
Yeah.
And say, listen, I've been angry, I've been upset, I've been pissed off, XYZ. But now you got to ask yourself this question. Was your father a crackhead? Was your mother on drugs? Was your father on drugs? Or did you see something in the house that you grossly misinterpreted?
Right. And I think that's part of the conversation.
See, that's not a conversation always for, even if everybody, I'm going to be arrogant. I'm going to be real arrogant for the moment. So everybody, just allow me to be arrogant. Even if everybody saw me as the one, the uncle, the one that can answer all the questions, there are certain things that really I can't answer.
Correct.
Why? Because there's no reason why the man I'm bringing on Wednesday don't have over 1,000 subscribers. There's no reason. Because you're getting ready to get therapy so cheap, it's ridiculous. You know what I'm setting up in my Patreon? Once I get enough people in the Patreon, I am paying out of my pocket for people to have group therapy with this person offline, because there's certain things we can't talk about on YouTube.
Right.
That I can talk about in the Patreon. That doesn't even have to come out of your pocket. It's going to come out of my expenses. Now the question is, how bad do you really want therapy? Or do you just want to stay in the pain? Because Uncle Stu is bringing solutions. He's not bringing the problem.
Yep.
So if you tell me the solution is mental health, I'm going to bring you the solution. How bad do you really want it?
Yeah. Because
there are a lot of people making excuses, but when I bring you the solution, I want to know how bad you want it. Because right now, I got a Patreon. My Patreon is $10.
Yeah, and that's cheap. Platform. Look, Uncle Stu, that's cheap considering what, the value of
it. Excuse me, right. But if you run it around, and I'm going to call a spade, ain't no female, none, zero, got a therapist. They got a bunch of social workers. I got a licensed therapist. And guess what? Not only do I got a licensed therapist, I've connected with 3 other male therapists that's also willing to be in the Patreon and talk to my people, both male and female.
Yeah.
But if you running your behind to them women, and I love my sisters, I don't want it to be a jab. But if you're not helping me with the solution, I don't want to hear no more about the problem. Because I'm bringing a solution. One solution, and you said it tonight, Uncle Stu, we need mental health treatment, no problem. Right? And I'm going to say this, I love my women. My women in the comment section, and I'm not just talking about here, I'm talking about my personal comment section, all said, Uncle Stu, we want you to start teaching politics and history, meaning political history. Okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to teach it. I'm going to have some books. Everything ain't going to be Google.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see where those videos go. Because if I only get 24 people watching the video, that's great and that's beautiful. And I'm happy for the 24 people. But in all honesty, I get paid off of Google ads.
Yeah.
I don't set up live stream always. Super chats is great. Please don't get me wrong. I'm never going to stop the super chat. But in all honesty, every live, I ain't TLA. Every live ain't gonna net me no $1,000 a chat. Yeah. Appreciate you, Peter the Investor. Appreciate you. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah. I can't do everything for free.
Yeah.
I've all of this is my money.
I think the people should take you up on that because the thing about therapy, I've heard another brother speak on this too. It's not allowing your trauma to time travel. You know what I mean? Yeah, right. And what you were talking about, Uncle Stu, as far as generalizing and saying an entire generation is responsible for X, Y, or Z. What I was explaining earlier, I think that people are projecting what they're going through in their lives onto other people. Mm-hmm. Not to say that, and I can say that that's wrong. Mm-hmm. What you're saying as far as go to that individual and deal with that, I can say that that's 100% correct. Mm-hmm. Now, there are some situations where that, and because I went through it, I go to therapy every other week. I tell everybody, mm-hmm. There will be situations, because I don't want people to look at this with rose-colored glasses on, mm-hmm. where you get to a point in therapy where you start to go to have the conversation with the person that, you think is at the forefront of your trauma. Mm-hmm. There is a chance that they are not going to be receptive to that. And then it creates the question of, okay, what now? And how do I move forward in my life? Right? It's not something that you should lean on as a crutch. Yes, there will get to a point where you confront, and when I say confront, it kind of has a negative connotation associated with it. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying have the conversation when I say confront. Having mm-hmm. the conversation about, hey, you did this or that, and that harmed me in this or that way. That person may say, I don't care, or okay, so what? I've been through worse, or what? They may not get to a point where they can even actually have that conversation in a real meaningful way. Mm-hmm. What do you do after that?
What I will tell you to do, and this is based on personal experience, mm-hmm. as therapy would say, and as I would say, as I've had to do. I hate to say this term because this is more of a military term. This is where you might just have to suck it up, drive on, until that time comes, because the time will come, and then be receptive to it. So let me get so that everybody understands. My daughter did that to me. My other daughter came to me with a situation, and at the time I wasn't ready to receive it.
Right.
It took a year before I was able to receive it. So you got to understand that everybody got to give everybody their grace. Just because you went to therapy don't mean that person went to therapy. Just right. because you got healed don't mean that person is healed.
Yeah.
Just because I got 1,000 subscribers don't mean you got 1,000 subscribers. But doesn't mean you're not putting in the work like I am. No. Maybe I had a benefit over here that you didn't have. For example, I'm a veteran of the United States Army. Therapy is open to me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Thank you, Luke Casey. Thank you. You understand what I'm saying? So I have access to things that I know a lot of people don't have access to. So I can't always run around and say, go to therapy. When I can get off this podcast right now and be like, man, I ain't feeling good.
Right.
Where you can't do that.
Yep.
That's why I say to people, I try to make my position. I'm not going to allow you to have no more excuses. I bust my behind to give you solutions. But once I put it out there, I'm going to take away your excuses. If you sit here and say, well, I can't get a woman, I'm going to ask you a simple question. You got a place to stay? Because you got to tell me what that really means.
Yeah.
I need to know what that really means. Why? Because take brown eyes off the table. Are you saying you can't get no punani? Because the way the sexual marketplace is out here, you ain't going to sit up there and tell me you can't get no punani. Now, are you talking about a wife? Are you talking about punani? I need to know which one we talking about, because if you can't get the punani, something wrong with you. In today's marketplace, something wrong with you.
Oh man.
Because that's the easiest thing to get. You could be fat, overweight, broke. As long as you got a place to stay, a little change in your pocket. Do you feel what I'm saying? I'm 100 now.
No, I got you.
I'm weighing 100 in today's market value. Now, are you talking about a wife?
Yeah.
Now we can sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Now I can say to you, I get it. Let's talk about it. You know, we might have to go way out to San Francisco and pull you a female to bring you to this, you know. Yeah, we might have to cross state lines to get, you know, a man and a woman together. I get it.
Yeah, you know, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that there's a lot of layers to conversations that people are completely unaware of. A lot of people, you know, I don't want to say a lot of people, I'll say people at times communicate on the surface of things. So like what you were saying, you know, I can't find a, you know, woman. Okay, now we have to break down what it is you're actually looking for. If you're looking for a wife versus, you know, just something, you know, whatever,
Right.
that's a totally different situation.
Right.
You know, my question would be, and I'm saying this from experience, you know, okay, you're looking for a wife. Do you know what it is to be a husband? Because you can't look for something that you can't be. You don't have, do you have rose-colored glasses on? Because that's what I'm finding about a lot of these subjects. Do you have this romanticized Disney World or Disneyland view of what things or the institution of certain things are? Or are you looking at them in a realistic way? So that, you know, I think when you have that conversation, then you can see where somebody's head is for real. Because being a head of household, from my experience, you know, from the teachings of my uncles and my father, it's a thankless job. So how do you view being a head of household? What are you looking for? And if you don't get that, are you still able to be the man that you're supposed to be? If that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. It's I'm going to say it is a delayed thankless job.
Yeah, I got you.
You feel me? You get your praise
20 years later.
Yeah. You get it where, Oh man, this is that Father Day card. I've been waiting on for about 20 years now. You know,
No, legit
but,
though, Uncle Stu, you right though, because when I think
yeah,
about my dad, and there are conversations that I could not have with my father until I had a son.
right,
Until I started to really download my son with certain information. And
right.
then I think some people, you almost have to go through the thought process of how do I teach my son to have a foundation as far as mechanics is concerned in the way that he puts things together. Like even when I think about my father, he used to always, when I was a kid, give me model cars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking, I think I'm 36, so some of you guys can relate. Like, when you put together these model cars, all you have is glue, and you have to snap the plastic off and glue certain little pieces in place,
Right.
right? But one of those things that my father was teaching me, as a kid, was abstract thought and being able to take ideas, be able to see a finished product, reverse engineer it, and rebuild that finished product based off an image, right? And along with that comes the patience and the skill to understand how, let's say it's a 500-piece set, and the more advanced ones, it gets more vast than that. If you have the patience and the discipline and the focus to do something, because some of that stuff took days to do, it was laying the foundation for me to be able to build as a man something that takes a long period of time. Did I lose focus? Did I have the ability to see something through from start to finish? There were certain things that my dad was grooming me for that I wasn't even conscious of, if that makes any sense. So when I had my son and I'm trying to get him to think like what you were saying, get him to think differently, think with a more a business mindset as opposed to a consumer mindset, put him on a different side of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I start to have those different thought processes and I start to, put things in place, then I'm like, oh, this was my dad. Okay. Let me make that phone call. Like, hey, dad, I see what you was doing there, man. I appreciate that. Because now in my life, you got to think like, hopefully nobody's arrogant enough to look at a situation and say, I did it. Because I find that a lot. A lot of, I did it. Oh, yeah, man. I'm cold with it. I'm a beast. I did it. No, you didn't. You didn't do it.
Right. Well, see, that's why you'll rarely hear me, and I'm a smile at TLA. So if he hears this, he know I'm telling the truth. TLA was the first was one of, I'm not going to say he was the only one, but he was one of the first people that told me in this space. And it was more directed towards me. He was talking about YouTube beefs. And he was like, you can't get into YouTube beefs. I'm
Right.
like, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean? If Thinking Man podcast come after me, what do you mean I can't, clap back? Like,
You will never see Thinking Man's podcast in
I
any
know,
beat.
but you hear what I'm saying, right?
No, I got you.
But
I got you.
he let me know because you're an elder. And as an elder, there's certain things you can and cannot do.
Right.
All righty now. This is crazy. I happen to be looking up and the eye says I got one person watching, and I see like 4-5 people in the chat. So YouTube must don't like me right now. But the irony is can't get into YouTube beefs.
Yeah.
But here's the other irony. You'll never hear me argue or get into long debates with men that's never been married. Because you can't do that. You can't just throw me a statistic.
Yeah.
Because I can take a deeper dive in the statistic and I can tell you, yeah, X, Y, Z. But have you taken a deeper dive into those same statistics? You talking about being a six-figure man? It seems like ever since the word six-figure came out, everybody on YouTube got six figures. But my whole argument is, do you really understand that lifestyle? Because like it or love it, this is some areas where Kevin Samuels is right. The average person that makes six figures works 6 to 80 hours a week. There's no way in the world you're a six-figure man, you're online more than I am, and I'm retired. Yeah, I'm gonna step on some toes tonight.
Let's go. Okay, let's do it. Come on. So we stepping.
There's no way. No way. I'm retired and doing well. And you making 6 figures and you online from 8 o'clock until 1 o'clock. You making 6 figures.
I can push back on that a little bit.
No. Hear me when I say you making 6 figures. Now I know some 6-figure brothers now. Don't get me wrong. Look, they got my personal number. You know what I'm saying? But what I mean by that is when I hear you talk, I could tell if that's true or not.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
When you say, "Oh yeah, this is the way a woman should be," and I say, "Okay, so let me get this right. You looking for that woman that's just gonna go in the kitchen and fix you a sandwich and sit on the couch and shut up. Good luck." Because I've been overseas and you're not gonna find that. Wally, I am fully aware this is an abnormal time that I would even have a podcast. I had to do it today because of scheduling. And I already spoke to El Guapo. So yes, I am aware that El Guapo got a live at 8 o'clock. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
And so you'll never hear me talk to, there's no disrespect. 22, 25, 26, like, okay, what are we talking about?
But I think it's something to benefit though, Uncle Stu. If you had those conversations, you can open the eyes of those individuals and help them to, see things differently. And what you're hitting on is called lived experiences.
You can't, because they're rooted in other people's podcasts and they're rooted into the thinking of other people who
I got you.
Is more influence than they have more power, more influence than I do. They don't want to hear from me. Yeah. Other people's already told them the data, the statistics, the fact they're able to cuss on their panels, they're able to get behind memes and they're able to do all that stuff. So they don't want to hear from me. My analytics even tells me they don't want to hear from me. I got very few people between I got zero between 18 and 25 in my analytics. I got about that much between 25 and 30. My major analytics is 35 to 45 and 45 to 50.
Got you.
Wally, before the billions, and JB are my 3 youngest 20-somethings that I got. You know what I'm saying? That's like consistent.
Right.
Outside of that, they don't want to listen to me. I even get some pushback from 35-year-olds. Hey, I get some pushback from people my age.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, depending on, I think pushback is cool. I think I kind of look at things a little differently. Like I enjoy losing, if that makes any sense, because you learn more from the losses than you do the wins. So,
absolutely.
And having a conversation where you're getting pushback is sharpening. It should sharpen both parties, right? In some situations, you're just, teaching somebody because their perspective is it's just off. But even in that situation, you can, gain further understanding of, that individual and, their age group. Like you were saying, what city you from, what state you live in, what's your demographic, what culture do you identify? Like all of those different things play a role in your profile as to how you communicate, what it is, that you think, how you move, all of that different kind of stuff.
Right.
For me, what's disheartening is that people aren't receptive to each other. That's where it becomes like it gets sad to me, because what I'm finding as I get older, it's more than one right answer. You know what I mean? It's just so many different perspectives to look at, things. Even when you talked about, like one of the things that you wrote down, that I wrote down that you were talking about too, is the thought process about Northern aggression versus the Civil War. So when you start to really dig into that stuff, there's a regional mindset. I mean, there's a state mind, like there's so many different layers to this. And I was going to ask you too, like, what do you think? Do you think that this is a systemic thing? Because when I'm thinking Northern aggression and that being taught in the South, and then in the North, it being, stated as a Civil War, right? Those are 2 different schools of thought. right? But that's within the education system.
Mhm.
So you're teaching people, or depending on how far you want to go with this, indoctrinating people with a certain thought process. Because I've seen it myself. Like I said, I'm in Texas. I've been in places where I've seen a northern person, quote unquote, and someone from the South interact, and the southern person call them a Yankee, and what
Mhm.
that actually is. You know what I mean? So, words do matter, because,
Mhm.
it tells you what people are thinking, even without them knowing that they're telling you that. So when you hear somebody say Yankee, like, okay, that kind of there's a certain mindset.
That's an offense. Yeah.
Right. Like, so things like that. It's important that we just have the conversation, because and that's what I'm saying. I think it's systemic as it relates to that. I really do think I sincerely think it's systemic, and it's almost teaching people to be divided. You see what I'm saying? If you have an education system that's teaching northern aggression, and another education system in a different region of the country teaching civil war, you're
Mhm.
teaching those two people to be opposed to one another. So when they do run into each other, they've been indoctrinated to a certain extent, and
Mhm.
then they clash. So is this
Mhm.
a systemic thing that's actually being perpetuated? You see what I'm saying?
I
It's a
do.
lot of layers to that, in my personal opinion, that people aren't necessarily aware of how systemic this stuff really is.
I do. Not only do I say it's systemic, um, there's a catch 20. There's a sensitive fine line. So the book. Hold on, let me see something here. If I got it in my immediate exposure, there is a book. It's called The Pedagogy of the Oppressed.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, Most people that know what this book is are going to be educators, because it's really taught to educators, but it's also not um, a widely read book in the education field. The thesis of his book is how they teach oppression
Hmm.
to people that they need to be in the workforce. See, it's a
Hmm.
whole dynamic about what education really is. Then
Yeah.
here's where I get sensitive. I could talk about the indoctrination of North and South, but then I have to watch out for the philosophical conspiracy, unfounded theories that people will start throwing out and start saying, "Well, this is truth. This is truth." And then when you say, "Well, can we get some empirical evidence?"
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's almost like you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater,
Right.
because here's an experience that I have, and then like how do you reconcile that experience? You ready? Okay. Some of the closest people I was with in North Carolina wore a Confederate flag.
Right.
Give you their last dollar, give you their food,
Right.
and did more for me than the people that look like me. Now I got to tell them to take the shirt off, take the belt off, because this is what it represents. And to them, it represents Southern pride.
Correct.
They didn't see, you know what I'm saying? They wasn't indoctrinated to see Ku Klux Klan. They was indoctrinated to see Southern pride.
Southern
Now here
pride.
you
Exactly.
here you go saying, nah, this is the right history. They telling you is this it. So I understood the clash right there.
Correct.
Because in their heart, they really don't see them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you my brother, man. You know, we eat. You ain't got no money. I got you. But then you got this big Confederate flag on. So you got that conflict. So I understood the fight on both sides. I
But
really,
isn't the
really
onus?
did.
But look, this is the thing. Isn't the onus? And I'm not saying you're in support of either one,
Right,
right?
right,
We're
right, right,
just
right,
having a
right.
conversation. But isn't the onus on the person who's flying the flag to actually do the history on it and understand where it actually comes from, to actually do the deep dive on it? I understand the Southern pride. Trust me, I'm in Texas,
Yeah.
right? Trust me, I completely understand. But at some point, you have to be open to have the conversation on what it really represents. Now, don't get me wrong. This because this is subjective, right? So
Mhm.
when I see a flag, I can think something, and you see a flag and you think something completely different.
Mhm.
As long as we both can have a conversation and respect what each other's seeing, and if you understand when that flag was flown, when it came into existence, at what point in time in history, and Uncle Stu, I'll ask you that question. It was a clear understanding on when that flag was created, what it was to represent.
Mhm.
So, we can say it's Southern pride, and I get it, cool. Your
Mhm.
uncle, your dad, your granddaddy, your granddad's granddad, I get the history aspect of that. But when you look at the genesis of that flag and what it was created for and all that stuff, when you actually look at the genesis of it, that's when you start to get into, because that's the romanticized thing. You know what I mean? That's the romanticized part. The Confederate flag and the Southern pride, that's a romanticized. My dad, I remember we were out eating biscuits and grape jelly, and my dad had that flag on and he gave it to me and I gave it to my son. And it's that, like it's that thing. But when you actually look into what it actually is and where it came from, then we have a totally different discussion.
You're absolutely right. But if I can't get the romanticism out of our own community, how in the hell am I gonna get it out of somebody else's?
I don't disagree. I don't
If
disagree
I
with
can't
that.
get black people to stop thinking that all of us came from the hood and nobody had a daddy and we all came from welfare, if I can't get that theory up out of us, how in the world can I get it up out of another race?
But see, that's the thing, Uncle.
And
So
I
I
know,
think
I know that sounds so, I don't want that to sound condescending or dismissive, because I don't want it to be that. But if I can't get my people just to sit down and have a conversation, how in the heck I'm gonna get somebody else's race to have that same conversation? I agree 100% with you. Yes.
Yeah.
But see, if I said I've made that same argument, there's no excuse why my people don't know what happened in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
They can Google and find the same information.
Yeah.
But I've had the argument that, I had a pushback on that. Everything I told you, you could go and Google. Okay, he mentioned Jesse Jackson. Let's get the history of Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
But I've had people throw Jesse Jackson under the bus. I can throw Jesse, and I don't even want to say throw him under the bus. I can argue Jesse Jackson, but I argue policy, not the person.
Yeah.
I can argue Al Sharpton, but I can argue policy, not the person.
But see, that's how you get lost in. If you looking at, and it's what you just described is how you're viewing things and the substance of it, as opposed to looking at a figure that is, making you feel good. That's the trick.
Right. There's a reason. There's a reason why there's ages in order to be at certain levels of politics. Now, I totally agree. I would love a age limit and a term limit on Congress and Senate. I would love that. I don't care what anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a universal, after a certain age, after a certain amount of time, they didn't need to go on and retire, so I get how the foundation was. And back then, the average senator and congressman, they didn't live past the age of 50. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
But now it's like, all right, you like 80 some years old, like, like, come on now. Hey, listen, I can understand, but see, I understand it from a different side.
Right.
I don't understand it as not one. It's like, okay, you're 80. It's time to let go. I love you, Nancy. You did your job. It's time to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, no more running. I get it. Okay, you who've been there for like 25 years, can we move this along because you still fighting? That part of any young person's argument, I'm down with you 100%. And I'm 50. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got you. Where we struggle is, like I said, do we understand policy over the politics? And like I said, do we understand how it's going to affect us now versus 5 years now versus 10? And I get it. There are some things we're not going to understand that's going to affect us 10 years from now before we can, as they say, go back into politics and try to fix it.
Right.
I don't think anybody would have predicted, in all honesty, the prisoner pipeline and how it was going to affect the Black community, because they were just trying to stop the bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a whole lot of conversation about why is crack cocaine getting the amount, you know what I'm saying, that regular coke. And it was a debate. And I'm gonna tell you, Al Sharpton was on the right side of that debate. A lot of us was on the right side of that debate.
Yeah.
But we also had inner cities that was burning down fast.
Right.
I mean, when I say going down in flames, we talking about people with college degrees, middle class was all of a sudden they was on the corner.
Yeah.
We talking about Crips and Bloods was just going, you know what I'm saying? So you had a lot going down real fast.
Yeah, but do we get into what introduced it into these communities? Does anybody really get into that?
I say they do, but it gets outshouted. It get pushed back, and we never get there. So what happens in the YouTube streets? Blame Generation X, blame the baby boom, blame this. And I get part of the argument, but then if Uncle Stu say, okay, let's take the deeper dive. Let's slow these words down. Let's take, and then the moment I try to take that dive, you ready to fight. No. You want me to, no. It's like, okay, I'm trying to explain to you. But if you're not willing to listen, then you're saying I'm being dismissive. No, I'm trying to explain. So that way you have a breath. If I don't understand, okay, you know what's the perfect movie? I love this movie. The Butler.
Okay, I got you.
Why is The Butler so awesome? First of all, I tell everybody I love The Butler because of the main character. He was named after me. But The Butler. Why? I think it was one of the most fantastic historical films created. Why? Because you had two different histories coming together as one, and I can relate to it.
Yeah.
The Butler was coming out of that 1960s. I finally arrived at the White House to keep a family together. I done got my family to be middle class.
Right.
But you had the son that said, hey, you know, we got Black power. We got to move things along and da-da-da-da-da. That was the perfect dynamic because the son couldn't relate to, dad done seen some things.
Yeah.
He knew how to maneuver in what he saw. And Oprah Winfrey played her part. This is where I'm going to give her credit. Here was this big star. She played her part well. And what was the one thing, that one line she said that was so powerful, which was when he called, was it not Sammy Davis Jr., God that just died. Can't even think of this actor's name, just passed away. And he said to his dad, so-and-so is an Uncle Tom. And you see dad get up off the table, look at him, and Oprah slaps him in the face and says, that same man that you said that to is also the same man that kept a roof over your head, fed you, and was able to pay for you to get to where you at.
So you're saying about when he talked to it, he was talking about Forrest Whitaker?
Forrest Whitaker was talking to his son, and I'm trying to think of the character that he named, that he kind of, And it was him, Forrest Whitaker, and Oprah, and they was all having this conversation. Forrest Whitaker that's when Forrest Whitaker kicked his son out the house.
Yeah.
But it was such an awesome dynamic of conversation because it showed that dynamic of what dad thought versus what the son was thinking versus, you know what I'm saying, that duality of movement. And then the blessing is towards the end is when they bring in, Barack Obama. And everybody don't know that Butler was was based on an actual true person.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So we got to be sensitive about who we calling out of character.
Yeah.
when you never lived in that time. So it's like when you say to somebody, you owe me an apology, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's take a breath. Let's take the aggression. Let's put the aggression where it needs to be. Now, if you say, I'm mad at my father,
Right.
I'm 25, I'm pissed off at my dad, the men in my life was effed up and this and that. Oh, I hug and love you all day. Yeah, I love you, man. Yeah, I got you.
So I have a question on that. So
Sure, let's get with it.
do you think that it would be beneficial because you have a long view of this? You know, the person that you're dealing with, given that example, is short sighted because they're projecting their things that they've experienced in their life on other people.
Mhm.
Do you think that it's beneficial to go ahead and apologize to disarm that thought process so that you can get to what you're really trying to get to? You know what I mean?
Who's to do the apology?
The person that's doing the teaching. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to, maybe a different perspective, because if my end goal, right? If my end goal is to get through to you, to get you to think a different way, to get you to understand that it's not me that you actually have an issue with, and that there is no monolith, as far as generations are concerned. If I go ahead and apologize, that disarms your emotion, and then we can have the conversation, and then I can kind of get to that on the back end after we've already gotten you to a point where you can relax and actually have a conversation. Because I think that a lot of people get caught in the fact that, you know, they haven't heard an apology. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Like, so if I
do.
apologize to you, and, and then we can get to a point where, you say, oh, and then, cause a lot of times you'll get to it where it's like, oh, Uncle Stu, you're different. Like, oh, and it's, then you get, oh no, well, there's a lot of people like me. I think that you just experienced, some things that, you know, you were in the echo chamber, so to speak. Like, that was your experience, but that's not everybody in this generation. You know what I mean? If that makes
I
any
do.
sense. And
I'm
and instead of having the constant like you're not, go ahead, and so we can get past that, really get to the actual end goal. You know what I mean?
I'm going to answer it this way, but I will take a deeper dive into thought. I think that would be I'm gonna say the right words. And I encourage anybody in the chat to chime in. I'm gonna say it would be disingenuous. It'll be disingenuous for me to sit around here and keep apologizing for every pain, trauma, philosophy, thought that you got about your mama and daddy.
Mhm.
And I wasn't there. I had to apologize. I can only apologize to my child and my own actions. I can say in the generic sense, hey, I apologize that you didn't get this love or this teaching, or I can
Right.
apologize generically.
Right.
But if I try to apologize for personal experiences,
Yeah. Yeah.
again, I have to take a deeper dive into what am I giving an apology for?
Right.
You
And
know,
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying
right.
the personal, I'm saying
And
a
then,
general
right.
apology.
And one of the things that I notice in a lot of people is they don't know how to talk.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying? So,
Very true.
so if I can't even extract, okay, I'll give you an example. If a dude telling me, yeah, man, these women this, and this in a text message,
Right.
then I get you on the platform and it take me 5 minutes to get you to say one sentence.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, it ain't the woman, it's you. You feel me? Because I was able to take a deeper dive into that dynamic.
Right.
You feel me? So we're looking at two totally different things.
Yeah. No,
You see,
I don't
so
I don't disagree with that.
I get it, but I would feel it would be totally disingenuous if I sat here and had to go bit by bit to be apologizing for something I didn't do, because now I'm going on an apology tour.
Yeah.
And then again, where are you getting your information? Because I've heard kids who's had parents that was on drugs and they'll tell you all day long, man, I love my dad. I know my dad was out there, but I love him. And they don't have those issues.
Yeah.
Hey, I know my dad wasn't around, but you know what? You know what I'm saying? So everybody ain't got those issues. And then you also have what I call shared disease. I want to be so much a part of your group that although I didn't grow up like you,
Yeah, I didn't experience
I want to be a part of you. So I'm just going to adopt the experience.
Yeah. It's a lot, man. It's a lot of layers to this.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of layers to this. I just, from my experience, that's been the best approach. And I get what you're saying. I can't apologize for, I didn't do it to you. So you know what I mean? Like basically, that's basically what it is.
Right.
From my experience, it's just been better to apologize for that. That's something that they've been through in their lives. You know what I mean? And once we get that out of the way, then we can have, a real conversation. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are just they're in a fog, man. And that's why I say therapy is so important, because you're moving throughout the world and you don't even realize, I always compare it to, like having a booger in your nose.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like then you get home, which would be like the moment where you realize something. You get home and you look in the mirror like, oh man, I've been walking around all day with a booger in my nose.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you can't get to that point. That aha moment is basically what I'm talking about.
Right.
You don't have that point if somebody doesn't disarm you first. You have to be disarmed first to, okay, put down your guard, like I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm not trying to justify anything. Like I apologize that you went through X, Y, or Z. Now let's dig into it a little bit, because a lot of times there's some accountability, that needs to be taken on both sides, because, I'm 36.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm still walking around at 36 with certain things, at what point is that on me, or is that on the person that, did whatever? You see what I'm saying? Like it becomes.
Do you want my answer to that, or
yeah.
Hardcore answer would be it's on you.
Right.
Hardcore. Because when you go to a job interview, do they ask you about your mother and father? If I'm going to go that direction, do they ask you, tell me about your mother and father? No. When you go to college, do they really ask you about your mother and father? No. Only reason why the military asks you about your parents is so they know where to send the certificate if something happened to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. Yeah. Society, I'm going to sound like Antoine Daniels. Society really don't give a flitty fruit about...
Hey, that's that Ned Flanders over here.
I just don't cuss like it. I had to make sure I say the right word. but in its rawness, society don't care about your parents.
Correct.
Society don't care. When I want my rent or I want my mortgage payment, I don't want to hear about your mama, your daddy issues. Correct. I don't want to hear about it. You feel me?
Yeah.
When it's time for you to get a job, I don't want to hear you. Well, boss, I didn't come in today because my mama did. They don't care about that. When you own a business, I don't want to hear about your mama, daddy issues when I'm trying to get my product or service done.
That's true.
Do you understand? So you can sit up there with your mommy, daddy issues all day, all night long. Society don't give a flip about them.
That's correct.
You understand what I'm saying? The only reason why and I'm going to call a spade, only reason why certain podcasters care is because you're giving them money to care. And when I say giving them money, let me make it real clear. They're adding into your pain because they know they can get money for it. But are they adding to your solution?
Man, that's in a lot of stuff, man. Is it beneficial for them to actually provide you with a solution or to keep you with the disease?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, here you go. We love to curse out the church, right? We good for that, right?
Yep.
Pastors doing this, pastors doing that, pastors doing this, right? We'll put it all on YouTube. All these pastors doing all this stuff, right? What the hell is the difference between the pastor and the freaking person who got a podcast doing the same thing? What's the difference?
Yeah. Nothing.
Yep.
Nothing's a difference. But that
No.
goes to your ideology of let's talk
Exactly.
about the policy and not
Bingo.
yeah.
Bingo. Again, am I the YouTube police? No, I'm not. Am I perfect? No, I'm not. Did I dot every I, cross every T in my life? No, I didn't. I'm quite sure that if you want to go through anything in my life, you can find something I did at 5 years old, 20 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, probably
Everybody.
last week. But where's your heart? We crying about white man this, white man that, the white man doing this, the white man saying this on TV, the white man saying that on TV. But then we got our own network. And what are we saying?
That's true.
What are we saying? We trying to dox people. If I don't agree with you, I'm spending my whole day doing a video about how I hate you.
Yeah. That's tough.
If you ain't part of my ADOS group, or if you ain't part of my pro-black group, if you ain't part of my national organization, if you ain't part of my clique, I'm going to spend the rest of my hours destroying you. But then I get on the ladder back end and say it's the white man's fault. But I don't have not one near clip talking about anything white America doing. All my clips is about what black people doing.
Mm-hmm.
Make it make sense. Again, I ain't the YouTube police. Make it make sense. Everybody went after TLA for every single thing. Oh, TLA did this. TLA did that. TLA did this. TLA did that. But I got a question for everybody that went after him. How many podcasts was birthed out of your podcast? How many YouTubers got over 100 subs, 100K subs? And me and you can go on their podcast and get our podcast shouted out without them even knowing us or us dropping any money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
But he's this evil man. You feel me?
No, I do. I get it. 100%, man.
You know, but he's evil. So let's do this podcast to go after him. Then the moment he says, hey, I want to teach y'all the game. And let me tell you something. His YouTube course, I tell everybody in the chat, that same YouTube course, if you try to get into the white sector, you're going to get a third of that course for that price. He hardly charged you anything.
Yeah.
But we mad because a black man asked for $350 for a 15-hour YouTube course. And I'm sitting up here saying, okay, let me get this straight. Y'all saying that everything in his course you can find online. You have no clue about business, because let me help everybody. So let me help everybody in the chat. Let me help people that's coming in the aftermath. Why y'all don't know shit about business is because business is about time. I don't normally cuss, but you don't know nothing about business. Why? If I could pay Wally to do things for me that I know it would take me 5 hours to do, and Wally can do it in 30 minutes, bruh, you save me some time.
Yeah.
But you can have 200,000 subscribers, but if you still don't know how to run it as a business, you don't even know what you're looking at.
And on top of that, it's another aspect to this too, that, white ice is colder.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's another aspect to that as well. I think that
Why
I
you
don't
think,
know, man.
Why you think I don't have no videos about Tasha K? Why am I gonna go after a woman that just got a $4 million free marketing? Free marketing. How you gonna take out Tasha K and y'all just gave her $4 million worth of free marketing? Yeah. She done hit the Breakfast Club. She done hit national newspapers.
That's free marketing.
Most definitely. Depending on how you're looking at it. Yeah, definitely depending on how you're looking at it. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I really don't have an answer for that one. It's definitely it's a lot of self-hatred going on too. It's a lot of self-hatred going on, man. And a
And
lot of people don't even realize it.
but you know what that self-hatred comes from? I hate myself when I look in the mirror because I want to be something and I'm not willing to do the work to be it.
Yeah.
What I do, people don't understand the sacrifice that I give up, the time I give up. Forget the money. Forget that. Forget that right now. I don't want everybody thinking it's all about the American dollar. Time.
Yeah.
Time. So this is when it goes back to your original question, your original thought. Do you honestly believe a 50-year-old, 50, 54, 56, 57, 60-year-old, do you honestly think they're going to get on YouTube to help 20-year-olds that if they get in their feelings can destroy these people's lives after 50, 60 years of living? Do you honestly think people who done worked all their life, maybe had a business, got it all together, done raised their kids, they now over 50, they grandparents, is going to take the time it takes to be on YouTube and set up a platform, and then the moment you say, hey, let me help you through this particular maze in your life, you got some 24-year-old that tells you F you don't know what you're talking about, and then go cussing this person out. Everybody don't have my temperament.
Yeah, that's true. Very much so. But
So,
that's when them old people will tell you, hey, keep living.
exactly.
Down here.
And
Old
so
people tell you, keep living.
when some of that older pushback, you notice I don't co-sign it.
Yeah.
Because if I have a platform where I feel I'm a nice guy, but if I had 20-somethings cussing me out, what are they doing to another person? So I can't co-sign, oh, well, this is what we got when we went to the older. How did you approach them? How did you talk to them? Because the 50-year-olds I know, I could take my camera and go around a bunch of senior people.
Yeah.
From senior citizens' homes to the supermarket. Them are the most talkative damn people I know. So I got to ask the question, how are you approaching them?
Yeah.
Because
Or if you even being honest, when you say you approached them, because you got a lot of people, they come online in this space and they live, and have certain conversations in a way that they would never, ever have in real life, person to person, because person to person, and people don't realize in this space as well, but definitely person to person, it has consequences for the way you conduct yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, it's a lot of different ways this can be taken. I honestly think that it starts with that individual.
Exactly.
Communication is very important.
That's why when you hear certain conversations, and I appreciate you, Wally, but a worker is worthy of his hire. And I'm also trying to let you know that. So I get you, Wally. That's why you don't hear me co-sign when people say, well, all these older people, this generation, this is my experience. Well, I'm listening to how you talking to me.
Yeah. I'm
listening to how you interacting with me.
Yeah.
And I got a platform. I got the open ear. Isn't nobody in my chat that can't say, I don't write Uncle Stu a comment and he don't respond.
Yeah.
There is nobody that can't say, I don't send him an email and he don't respond. There is nobody that can say, in my Patreon, I wrote him a letter and he didn't respond. So I know how you treat me. I can imagine how you treating somebody face to face. So that's why I can't even co-sign the whole generation thing, because it's like, well, how are you communicating? And when I tell people, I'm sorry, but this ain't my experience, is because I don't care if they're white, I don't care if they're Hispanic, and I don't care if they're black. I can go to too many old people that'll be glad to share the good, bad, and ugly of their history. Too many. They can't wait to spill it out. So I'm trying to figure out who are these people you talking to? Is it really the generation? Are you approaching them correctly? What's happening?
Yeah. No, that's important though.
Yeah.
That's definitely important. How you communicate with people, the way the way you communicate largely impacts the way that you're responding to. And I think a lot of people, they go into a situation, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If I go to have a conversation and I have these preconceived ideas, and I'm thinking you're an a-hole or you're not going to hear me or X, Y, and Z, the energy I bring to that conversation, it's gonna be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if I had this thought process in my mind when I go to have a conversation, it's gonna be had in a much more aggressive and sensitive way, because I'm already thinking in my mind while I'm talking to you, you're not gonna hear me, you're gonna shoot down whatever I'm saying, you don't care X, Y, and Z. But if you go into it with a different mindset, you'll be surprised. And look, I might step on some toes like you saying, Uncle Stu. You'd be surprised how police will respond to you when you communicate a certain type of way.
Exactly. Let me holler at the chat, and I'm going to see who wants to come up. So gives you a little oxygen for a little minute. let me see what the chat talking about. All
I'll
right,
be right back, man.
Okay. All right. I hope y'all enjoying this conversation. Normally, this will only be for about a good hour, and definitely would have shut it down. So I just want to thank y'all for rocking with me tonight. If there's anybody if y'all got any questions, put a Q in the chat for me. If you feel this something I need to know, if there's an area where you feel you need me to take a deep dive, if there's even an area where you heard something tonight and it's like, hey, I may disagree with you on this point, or I wanna unpack some things over here. Put a one in the chat. Let me know. Do y'all want me to drop the link in top? Let me give this disclaimer first.
Welcome to the Emancipated Studio, where you are welcome to engage with guests and the panel. Please stay on topic and be respectful to our guests and panel. Be sure to have your camera on while in the back of the studio so that you may be verified by Uncle Stu, and then you may turn your camera off while participating on the panel. You have given up all rights to any footage and clips which can be used by Uncle Stu and his staff. Now please hit the link again and welcome to Uncle Stu's Emancipated Studio.
To answer your question, what do I think of Black Lives Matter movement? First of all, I figured that was a tobacco from the very beginning. It was a tobacco because, number one, they had no organization and they didn't really have anything at the end of the agenda. I felt that there was too much money being thrown at an organization that I knew can be swindled and hidden. And at the end of the day, my original thoughts came out to be absolutely correct. The three major people that headed that organization end up doing what? Taking the money, buying nice houses, and they bounce. You don't hear about them no more. I believe when I start to think about Black Lives Matter, again, this goes back to individualism and then collectivism. Individual meaning, do I love myself first? If I love me, I can love you. And if I can love you, then we can fight for commonality of things. And that's what I feel we're losing. We're losing because we don't love ourselves individually. If you think about the conversation, Thinking Man Podcast and I is having, how do we get to that place as individuals? Just love ourselves. And in loving ourselves, let me explain that. Loving, and I'll probably end up doing a bunch of podcasts on this. Loving me simply means that I love the good and the bad in me. It means I accept who I am as an individual. And because I accept who I am as an individual, I can accept you and love you. Now, it doesn't mean I don't have my morals and I don't have my values, but it means what I value. So for me, as an example, I value reading. I value higher learning in the sense of reading and studying. I value my family. I value certain areas of my time. These are the things I value. Because I value those things, I put those as my core. That's who I am. So if you got to know me, it's like if you buy Uncle Stu a book, man, he think that you done bought him a Mercedes Benz because he values that more than I would value a car. But that's knowing me. Or as y'all, what's the new word? Love language. That's my love language. Give me words, let me read, say, write me a letter. It'll be like, yeah, buddy, So that's me all day, all night long. The question was about Black Lives Matter. So that's me. But then the community aspect is, what do you value? And I think a lot of us don't really know ourselves and love ourselves. So a lot of not knowing yourself and what you love is hard for someone to love you. Because if I don't know what you love and you don't love you, how can I love you?
Yeah, it becomes a mess, man. If you don't,
Right.
it's a complete mess, because if I don't love myself, how can I love anybody else?
Exactly.
So you got that component of it. How can I love? If I don't love myself, how can I tell you how to love me? How can I even really, do I have a firm or a real in-depth analysis on what love actually is? There's so many different, because I got a clip on this on the Thinking Man's podcast too about love, and there's so many different types of love that a lot of men, when women talk about love, they say, well, I don't feel like you love me. I don't feel like you're loving me the way that I want to be loved. With there being so many different types of love, then you get into a situation where the love that you're talking about as a man, you are loving her the way that you think that it should be shown. But she's talking about a totally different type of love. So if you don't have that foundation, okay, then that's one of the things that happen in therapy as well. That's why I say it's important. Like, you sit down with the other person and you say, okay, what is your definition of love? What is love to you? And then what does love look like to you? If it's me showing you love, what does it look like? And it puts what's in that person's mind out on the table so that you can view it. Because if you can't view what that person's idea of love, I would say that it would be very difficult to achieve that person feeling like they're loved, because everybody needs a different type of love.
Yeah. And see, here's the whole thing. We're so busy talking and talking points that we don't talk.
Yeah.
You could go back to some of my interviews and I'll have people come up on the panel. The first thing I say is, I need you to talk, but you're not allowed to use talking points. And all of a sudden, the whole communication gets shut down. You understand? I need you to talk out of your experience, not out of your talking points.
Right. Because it's an agenda.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's an agenda. If you talk from that perspective, you have an agenda.
Exactly. Just like, my whole thing is, when you don't know you can't explain you to someone else.
Correct.
So, if I say, if you give me a talking point about a woman, then I'm going to ask you, is that a talking point, or is that your true experience?
Right.
Because I've never had a woman yet ask me how many figures I make. I'm 54. Have
Yeah, I
you had
haven't
that?
either. No,
Huh?
I haven't. I haven't.
Right. Now,
No, but look, I think they know. I don't think they know exactly, but I think people know.
you want to know you want to know my experience? Real talk. You want to know my experience?
Yeah, come on with it. What's up?
Do you have a job or a source of income? Do you have a place to stay? And because I am in the southern region, do you have a car? And I hate to tell you, because I had those three things prior to me getting locked down, because I had those three things, I ain't never had to buy dinner and I can get whatever I want. I'm just being honest.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay, so if you telling me a woman is a hypergamous and all these philosophical words, I'm like, okay, y'all running on a narrative, y'all running on an agenda. Because I can tell you right now, a man don't have to be none of that stuff to get what he claim he wants to get. That's why you hear me say, tell me what you're trying to get. Now, let me say this. What I do say that I do agree with, and this is where 20-somethings will get angry with me, but it's a fine line. I do agree that things has changed in the sense of when I was 20 versus 20 now.
Yeah, most
The
definitely.
economy has totally shifted.
Yeah,
Now
for sure.
that I'm gonna say, yeah, you can't get out of high school and go get this nice blue collar job and raise a family. No, you can't do that. Now, and because of those economic shifts, I can see certain things shifting. I like to say that there's a lot of men that just needs a certain level of education and training, but then I know some brothers that's already quote unquote leveled up.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And they doing well,
yeah.
and the women just ain't there. And I ain't gonna sit up there and say, well, brother, I think you need to level up some more. I think you need this. Nah, it's like, bro, I feel sorry for you. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I had JB tell me, bro, please don't get rid of Auntie. Don't do it. Don't come back out. It's
Yeah, I
like, nah,
wouldn't.
I ain't come back. It's like, nah, y'all can have that. I'm good. I'm good. I'm seriously good. I'm okay. You know. So
Yeah.
I do know there's a struggle. I mean, I ain't gonna sit up there and deny
Yeah.
that there's a struggle. I'm not gonna deny that the women is totally different. That I'm not gonna deny. I ain't gonna sit up there and say I'm that blind and stupid.
I don't know. I don't know, Uncle Stu.
Go for
I
it.
don't know. I don't know that the women are. I think that, obviously each generation there's going to be some nuance there. Things are going to change, but I think that you cannot have what it is that you desire unless you're the person that can hold what it is that you desire. So if you're not the man that you're supposed to be already, you're not going to have the woman that you want to have. And if you do, by some stretch of the imagination, get that woman, you won't be able to keep her.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Because you have to, like, there are going to be certain requirements that need to be met. And if you can't live up to those, then how can you sustain that type of, relationship or those requirements?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So,
I mean, it's like this is where I'm beneficial in that I got young people around me. I got the 26, the 23, the 17, 18. Yeah, I think she's 17. 17, my 26-year-old, I get to hear those real deep dive
yeah.
conversations. So I kind of know the off YouTube conversation.
I got another one for you too, Uncle Stu.
What's up? Go for it.
So my uncle and I, we had these conversations as it relates to, his daughter, my niece. When she goes to look for a man, the bar that's set by my uncle is high, right? As fathers, like, we set a high bar. So when she goes into the world to look for a mate, significant other, husband, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
is she going to see that? Considering statistically the income that we are able to generate, or the lifestyle, the thought processes that you're seeing from 20-year-olds right now,
Mm-hmm.
does a woman want to fall under that covering? And if you're a man, can you actually really provide covering? If you're saying that the role of the man is to protect and provide, because you have a lot of younger guys that, and some my age as well, that are saying, well, it's different now, and she needs to make just as much as I do, and all these different things. You know what I mean? Like, things have
I
kind of
do.
almost turned on their head, if that makes any sense. And then when you look at the income that black men generate compared to black women, it's completely, I don't know. I mean, it's almost like men don't want to acknowledge that disparity. I think it's something there that, and it's not saying one is good or bad, but there's something there that needs to be discussed. And I think that's one of the elephants in the room that I've never seen. I won't say never. I've only seen a few people discuss, is the income that men as a whole are generating in order to take care of a family. Because, my grandfather always, told me, you know, if you can't afford it, the family can't afford it, period.
Mm-hmm.
Never put the
Agree.
household in a situation where her money is needed.
I
Right?
agree.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm a 125, 100%, meaning man pays 100% of everything. If your woman got to work 25%, 25 hours, that's max. And then both of you work 100% on your own business. I totally agree.
Yeah.
But
a lot of men don't want to hear that.
I think the I will say, I have not taken statistics in the sense of taking a deep dive into the numbers and the data and all this other stuff.
Right.
And the reason, and maybe my higher level thinking people can convince me otherwise. The reason I don't take those deep dives like that, because any argument that I want to make, I can find a statistic for.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And I have lived a life where statistically I wasn't supposed to be here. Statistically, my friends wasn't supposed to. Statistics was just totally against, and we beat the statistics. So I'm always into beating the statistics versus being a part of the statistic, if that makes sense.
No, I get
So
it.
I don't know the statistics. I also say every city is totally different. Again, cost of living to live in Los Angeles totally different than it is in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I don't know why anybody would live in LA.
Right. Live in New York is totally different than DMV. So I think that if I had to tackle that argument, I would say whatever city you live in, there is something called medium income for that city. And either you're in that medium income, or you're 25% below that income, or 25% above. And 25, and I might be using too big of a number, but let's just say 25 above and below. 25 below that medium income, meaning that you're lower middle class. 25% above means you're upper middle class. So if you're not within that range in that regards, and that's a loose number, because I'm probably going to find somebody that can tell me that I give too big of a range in those numbers. But if you're not in that number, now that I can argue, if you're not in that number, and if you're below it, you're definitely in the poverty. That means you're struggling to live, whether as an individual or as a couple, you struggling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
no, yeah, that's true.
You're struggling. And I think we don't understand that part. We don't understand what that term medium income for your city is. We don't understand that. We do not understand. Everybody want to talk about investing and savings and da 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 da, but I really don't think we understand that every time we want certain policies to pass, who paying for it?
Yeah.
Everybody didn't really. I got video. It's on my platform. It's on Tim's platform. I gave the most clearest understanding of capitalism and
Right.
who pays for all these policies. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
Everybody, hey, we want this $1 trillion. It ain't that the Republicans don't want to do it. You don't realize who it's going to hurt. So let's go there for the real quickly. Government gave away all this money with this housing memorial, right? Froze up everybody's rent, told everybody they wasn't going to get evicted, told everybody wasn't going to do this, told everybody wasn't going to do that, right? To the working person, that sounds real good. But you and I is in business. Our electric bill didn't stop.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And meaning, while the income wasn't coming in, we still had to pay electric bill. The business people still had to pay the gas bill. The business people still had to pay the phone bills.
Yeah.
The business people still had to pay salaries while the income was not coming in. So guess what? Now that we can get our rent, we got to make back the money we lost. And because we got to make back that money we lost, where you normally would have had a 5% increase on your rent, I got to tack you with a 30 to 40% increase on your rent.
Yeah.
Because I got to make up the money I lost last year while you were sitting up there hooping and hollering.
Yeah.
Who's hurting? Because you was ready to get a $50 increase, but I'm going to hit you with a $300 increase right now.
Yeah.
And guess what? You can't even move. You know why you can't move? Because the rest of my partners that got real estate is going up the same
They're doing
amount.
the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, but and that's the thing. Like when you dig into the numbers, when you look at things, basically what you're describing is inflation on a micro level. This inflation on a micro level. So people don't necessarily see the connection between goods and services, regions of the country, workforce, all of these different aspects of, how we transact with one another. And then they'll say, well, I want to raise. Okay. Let's say a person gives you 5%. I don't know. Maybe that's Patreon, Uncle Stu.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
Patreon.
that's probably Patreon.
That's Patreon. Yeah. But even that surface level conversation, now I'm gonna throw arrogance. I'm gonna tell everybody right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm about to be arrogant. Ready? And you want to sit up here? I see this level, and you sitting up here wanting to cry about something down here, and I'm sitting up here saying, "Bro, if you don't get your crap together, you gonna be that homeless dude on the corner with a sign."
Man.
You wait a minute, sister. You crying about what, sister? There's gonna come a system that's getting ready to get around the corner, and that welfare check that y'all been loving on, they about to do some trimming real soon because somebody gotta pay the bill.
Well, that's the thing too. Like with this, I look at it like fake money being pumped into the system. I mean, you have people that they're being paid to stay at home. So then you stay at home, and if you think about it long term, how long have they been paying you to stay home? So let's say you've been taking this, whatever, you stayed home for a year and a half, right? When you go to level up, if you want to get that house or whatever, X, Y, and Z, I think people are short-sighted. So when they ask you, okay, how much income have you generated in the 2021 calendar year? What are you going to say? So now you just put your life in pause for like a year or two to make up for whatever it is that you receive. I don't know. It's just it's a very short-sighted view. I think there are people that actually need assistance. So don't get me wrong there. But I do think there are a lot of people who don't need assistance and who are just being lazy as hell and don't want to go to work. And then a lot of people don't understand that people not going to work is going to drive the cost of goods and services up as well.
When we were saying that in the 90s, they called us Uncle Tom a sellout.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Hey, you can call me whatever you want to call me, as long as you don't call me poor or broke.
Go read the first chapter of her book. you feel me? I mean, I'm letting you know that a lot of these conversations we was having back in the 80s.
Yeah.
We was having these conversations in the 90s.
Yeah.
Y'all the first generation I can honestly say, well, I guess the Democrat Party gonna be in trouble. There's a whole lot of brothers getting ready to leave. Because I laughed when they said, well, you know, how did Trump end up getting more black males to vote for him? Because there's more black males that's in business. There's more blacks that understood policy over personality.
No, that's true.
There was more money given during his election than during any other election. You don't have to like the person. See, again, I tell people, did I like it? I don't like Trump because I know him from New York. So I know what he was about.
Yeah.
I know what he was about. I definitely know what he was. We from New York been trying to tell everybody, hey, he's acting the same way he acted. So that wasn't new.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what it was. And I am doing a podcast after that, probably the end of this month, because I am trying to get through the February stuff. Everybody don't realize that there's a white manosphere. Came long before the black manosphere. That was
Hey, look, I stumbled into it on accident. I was like, oh, hold on, man. This sound like, what I just seen, just a different,
Yeah, there's a white manosphere. now I'm gonna show you okay, I'm gonna give a sneak peek into what I'm about to produce.
All right.
There's a white manosphere. The white manosphere was building up their political momentum, but they didn't have the numbers. So guess what they did? They got with white supremacists. Hear me now. And they came together to put in a white man that can push back on white feminism. And that's why no matter what you said about him, that's why Trump got into office. You feel me? Because it was white male anger. It wasn't white male anger against black people. It was white male anger against white feminism. Okay? All right. Political. Back politics again. Black manosphere. If you take the deep dive in the black manosphere, a lot of black men are more conservative.
Correct.
Because of what? Business, economics, right?
Yep.
We ain't talking. We ain't gonna tell you our political affiliation because we don't want to hear you call us out our name. We don't want to. We not even gonna talk business and politics no more because we don't want to get shut down. So guess what? Privately, black men is hitting the R button. Privately, black men getting with white men and hitting the R button.
Yeah.
Why? Because privately, they don't want what the other group is doing.
Yeah.
Why? Because the other group is teaching feelings over facts.
And that's what I don't get, Uncle Stu. Then you get into this, like, women saying that there aren't enough men and talking about effeminate men and all this stuff. And it's just like, but okay, you're complaining about it, but then you also are perpetuating it at the same time. It just doesn't make any sense.
It does and it doesn't. So let me tell you why it does make sense.
Yeah.
And then yes, I'm gonna flip it. So I'm gonna play both. I'm gonna play both sides of the water. If I'm not online and the only information I get is MSNBC, CBS,
correct,
CNN, who's controlling that?
Yeah.
So if I'm pumping out this and that, I've asked a question on my community tab. I asked it on somebody else's panel, so I'm gonna give it to you. Ready?
Yeah.
Name 5 heterosexual black men on television right now. That is not in sports.
All right. So we're gonna go. That's on TV right now. That's not in sports.
Not in sports or entertainment.
I mean, that's impossible. I mean, because of my view on entertainment is it's all in to a certain extent.
Okay. Singers and rappers and jazz musicians.
Okay.
None of that aspect of entertainers.
I'm gonna go
Name
with
5.
Al Sharpton. Right? We're gonna roll with that. That
We'll roll with
qualify.
that.
Okay,
We'll
Al
roll with that.
Sharpton.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with. Look, I was gonna say Michael Strahan, but I mean he in a weird spot. He kind of tapped on both sides of that.
I'm gonna give you Michael Strahan all because he's been he's been away from my Giants for eons now. So no one.
You know he
really
went to TSU, right? So H-Town representing. Yeah. So look, you got Michael Strahan. You got what the other one I just said? Oh, Al Sharpton. Then you have what's the brother that with the he went to Harvard if I'm not mistaken. That he was with on CNN. A young brother, bald head, glasses, kind of had a goatee beard. And he partnered with Jay-Z, I think, talking about the prison industrial complex and the pipeline and all that, trying to combat that. I forgot
young brother that's
he is
still on the news.
Yeah, he was an activist too, if I'm not mistaken. He used to be an activist. I cannot remember his name.
We'll look that up. We'll look that up and come back.
Okay, and then
do you see how hard you're struggling?
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm struggling.
And I'm gonna tell you why I'm laughing. And
Van Jones, there we go. Appreciate the chat, Van Jones.
Yeah.
Hey, look, they like he's struggling. Let's help him.
And JX said, "Remove Al Sharpton."
Yeah,
but you want to know what's funny?
Look, hold on, look. Somebody put Don Lemon. He is not heterosexual.
Yeah, Don Lemon is not heterosexual. He is nowhere close to. No, sir. Van Jones. Look up Van Jones. That guy Tobias says Van Jones.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's who I was talking about.
Oh, okay. Van Jones.
That's exactly who I was talking about. Van Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, that brother.
Do you see how you struggling?
No, yeah, I'm with you.
Now, watch this. If I was to say to the older generation in my chat, name 5 heterosexual black men that you grew up with that was intellectuals, they'll blow up this chat right now.
Yeah.
So that's answering your question. There is hardly no heterosexual black men. So how are black women going to know when we're not even out there to tell them?
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay. And I'm going to tell you why. I took mine on a tour.
Yeah.
And showed her some things that she couldn't even see until I personally showed it to her.
Yeah.
A lot of us know because of YouTube. Can we talk this way on MSNBC?
Nah.
Can we talk this way on CNN?
Nah, it's an agenda for sure.
Exactly. Can we talk this way on any known national television program? So if we can't talk this way, how do the women know we even think this way?
Yeah, but I think that's the thing about media. I don't personally think that it actually represents what's in real time actually out here.
Exactly.
If that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't think so.
It makes a lot of sense. So why do you think I am so passionately angry that we finally can control the media and who tries to destroy it? Let me give you a prime example. And I'm unapologetic about this.
Yeah.
We're having this conversation, right? Smooth conversation. I had Bomb Cherry in my chat when I had Obsidian try to destroy me and then turn around and do a live while I'm still on a live. Do you hear her bragging about, hey, Uncle Stu got these intellectual conversations? No, she only shows up to get what? Recognized. To try to destroy my platform. Yet I'm advocating for black men. And in so many ways advocating for black women, but she didn't see that. All she wants to do is destroy. For what? Likes, clicks, and views.
Yeah.
For likes, clicks, and views, you would destroy another black man's platform. Don't know nothing about me, what I stand for, nothing. All because you've seen Obsidian. And my attitude is, I want to have a conversation with anybody. Because I don't want to judge you according to what you may be putting on a platform.
Yeah.
I want to get to know you. So if that means getting on, okay, why does Thinking Man podcast? What does he think? Why does he think this way? Maybe you did have some issues coming in here, and it's like, dang, I walk away with a whole different perspective of some stuff that I can go away and say, you know what? I never saw it that way. Let me think about this.
Yeah.
Let me call my people tomorrow and say, yo, man, you know, on this last podcast, so-and-so said it. Yo, what you think about this? It was kind of deep. But if I'm trying to destroy you because I don't like your narrative without understanding why, there's a reason why Obsidian say the things he say. There's a reason.
Yeah.
It is inconceivable. I'm gonna use Drake. It is inconceivable that you can have sex with a woman, wear protection. I ain't gonna lie now. You know, you put hot sauce in it to protect yourself, and she still goes in the gut. That
Is it inconceivable?
when I want you to think about something, but then turn around, put it in you, burn, and then say, I'm gonna sue him.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then have the media say, YouTube media, try to back her up.
That's crazy.
Do you understand? So you're not making sense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Shout out to Last Call for Insight, the $5 super sticker. You're not making sense. But then guess what? Now we're just gonna use Obsidian. He says, listen, y'all, in order to protect yourself, let me write this in this book so that you know how to protect yourself against a woman like this and be okay. Now you attack them. Just like, okay, gentlemen, we know that we got a high number of women that will take you out on a date, want you to spend all this money on food. Now, I want everybody to know I'm not co-signing stuff. I'm just telling it as it is.
Yeah.
It is a fact. Women are using brothers just to go on these expensive dates.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, I got this meal for $50, knowing whatever. So now you say, well, hell, everything is transactional. So in part of this transaction, look, you get this contract. When we're not even having those kind of conversations of why men are responding or reacting, and then not having enough women to stand up and say, hey, that's foolish.
See, man, you know, it is it's foolish, but I guess for me with that Drake situation, you know, if you got to put hot sauce in a condom, I mean, golly, man, you shouldn't even be. You know, you could have as much money out. Come on, bro. Look, I'm just being hypothetical. With as much money as is available to me, or resources, whatever you want to call it, I would have somebody at the door when I finish to hand off said whatever, or you know, I would have a biohazard room in my house that a nurse just chill out in and dispose and pour a chemical on it and just, you know, like.
But isn't it crazy that you even got to do that?
I think that, but look, when I was coming up, when I was out there, I'm no longer out there in these streets. I don't move like that. But that was a real thing that I often thought about.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm not far removed from this.
That was going on in my generation. So we ain't even gonna front. I mean,
that's a real thing.
I'm not trying to bring his name up for clout chasing.
Yeah.
But see, I remember when Kwame Brown had a situation in California. When he was in the league.
Oh,
and if it wasn't for the fact, situation broke out in California where a chick tried to accuse him of some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if Kwame Brown did not have video cameras, we may be seeing Kwame Brown a felon right now. For real. You know what I'm saying? But because he had video cameras, saved him.
Yeah.
And Kwame, as nice as you see Kwame Brown is now, you know what I'm saying? Kwame was kind of like that nice NBA player back then. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, he really didn't change. He was the nice guy, you know, friends with everybody. Yeah, if you were, but you know what I'm saying? He wasn't one of them, 20 people entourage type basketball players. You know what I'm saying? But I remember when that incident broke out. And I remember how he fought it, and I remember how he beat it. And if he didn't have cameras around his house to prove every single move he made, without them cameras, he was done. So, we don't really want to talk about that. And here we get to talk about it.
I wonder why women don't talk about this kind of stuff. I think they do. I don't know.
There's certain women that do, but I'm not gonna lie. At least the ones I've heard, is a little bit older.
Yeah,
they're not your 20s, they're not your 30s, and then so many people want to be so angry at Kevin Samuels that you can't get past the freaking conversations. They're so busy eating off of one side or the other of Kevin Samuels. Either they're using his name to make money, or they're using his name to try to destroy a man you can't destroy. But because he triggers so many people use his name anyway to eat. So you have older women talking, but I don't see a lot of younger women talking to these older women, vice versa. But I'm going to say you don't see that, because they've been indoctrinated that submissiveness is slavery, and
that's crazy, man.
And that's why I try to do a podcast where I'm trying to show what African American men look like. What do we look like when we talk calmly? What do we look like intellectual? What do we look like when we're taking deep dives into certain conversations?
Yeah, but I think a lot of people think that I guess, and this is subjective as well, but when a woman is being submissive, in the order in which it's supposed to go, the man submits to God, but she's actually submitting to God indirectly as well, if that makes any sense.
It does. According to scripture,
right?
She's to submit as unto the Lord,
right?
Not necessarily unto him.
Correct.
If you look at it properly, it's if you're already submitted to God, you're trusting God and this man as your headship.
Correct.
Again, it gets sensitive online because now you got guys that just, I don't want to believe in God and da 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 da. So once you go that direction, I can't help you no more.
Yeah.
Because now you don't want to be accountable to nothing. See, again, I'm more sensitive. I'm in the manosphere, but I'm not a talking points person.
Yeah.
I'm gonna deal with you as a collective, but I'm also deal with a couple of realities.
Yeah.
If you one of the brothers that's up there, and I know you rocking with the money, and I know you, and I do know something that's in there.
Yeah.
Hey, I got you, man. I understand where you at. I understand why, you got a whole lot to lose. Yeah, we might have to go overseas for you. We might have to go over across the states for you. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it.
Yeah.
But if you're a brother and I'm listening to your conversation and I can tell, okay, we're not able to really speak with a confidence of one sentence, then my brother, I can find you the good woman. But if she got to struggle for 10 minutes to understand what you're saying, you ain't going to be able to keep her.
Yeah.
Now, I'm surrounded by good women that be, with a good men. And you've been on, but at the same time, if you ain't this type of person and you ain't this type of man, I can't get you that woman, and everybody can't tell me you there. So I just say, hey, right now, I thank God I ain't in that scene. It's a struggle, and you know, and again, I feel like this. I feel sorry for any man that try to date my youngest niece. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because they got rolled up on her uncle. Her uncle got a business, so
yeah.
and she about to be my 1099. So yeah. So she ain't gonna need your money, bro. So you better come correct. You better come correct. So you know, but that's my sensitivity because we're stepping up the game, raising up the game.
Man, you know, I think in our the generation that preceded us, I wish, this is just a wish that I had, that the conversations that we have in depth about relationship, what marriage is, what being a husband is, how to lead, you know, being a head of household, what a wife is, what submissiveness actually is and looks like, you know, all of these different conversations. I wish that they were had in mass in our households. We wouldn't struggle today with all of these different conversations. So like when I'm thinking, Uncle Stu, like, you know, your daughter and your daughter's daughters, you know, they're going to at in their 20s be probably 20, 30 years ahead of most people as it relates to how they vet and how they communicate and conflict resolution and all of these different things. I think we're just not having the conversation.
Well,
You know what I
don't
mean?
think, I don't think in all honesty, I don't think any generation did it.
Yeah.
Be totally honest with you. I think it was more by observation and you just go with it. So I can't even and Danny G, I even got to disagree to a degree about church does it horribly. They do it horribly. They have done nothing but pander to women, and that's why there ain't no man in the church. And I am one with a theological background. They still pandering to women, and there's still no men in the church.
Yeah, that Boaz, that not Boaz, that
Yeah, go
Boaz
see your
speaks.
Boaz, but they ain't got a Naomi. It make sense. But I will say, now this I can say generationally, men can give an apology for. This I can say, okay, but at the same time, I don't think there was ever questions or conversation.
Yeah.
So I can't even say, oh yeah, well, I got this teaching. Let me teach it to you.
Right.
I don't think we ever really had the conversation. So it was always, hey, I love this woman love me. We get married, you know.
But even look, Uncle Stu, even like stuff like what is love to you? Like my pops didn't talk to me. Now, granted, I could not have been mature enough to even be able to have that conversation. But if, you know, just like you teach your son, because I love my dad, you know, he taught me a lot. Like my dad was active in my life. So let me say that up front. But I guess, you know, and it's always going to be 2020 looking back, you know.
Understand now, you said something correct. Now I totally agree. You also got to remember, men didn't have a vocabulary of emotions.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Men didn't have this deep dive conversations of feelings and in touch with your feelings and your emotions, and you know they didn't have that, so they can't communicate what they never had. I can't even say that my generation got those touchy-feely emotions. I can't say men that's in their 40s got the touch. We didn't get into the touchy-feely emotions until, your generation and younger, as far as touchy-feely emotions. The closest we ever got was 5 love languages, and that was because it was shoved on to you in the church, and you just happened to read the book. But as far as taking a deep dive into that, no, I'm going to say that's probably going to be more on a dynamic on your generation. Although, yes, that's only because I'm well read. that
Yeah.
I can have that conversation. But I'm not going to say that everybody my age can really have that conversation because
Right.
again, it's so many different layers and facets. And I never want to, how they say, box men in
Yeah.
with a talking point or a theory. Because what may work for me
Right.
may not work for you. And what may work for you may not work for me, but you may be happy in how it works for you. For example, you may be happy with your woman going to work, working 40 hours a week, and you working 40 hours a week. Who am I to step in and say you're less than a man because both of y'all working?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for whatever the dynamic, and I know people in the ministry ain't going to like this, maybe you can't work for whatever the reason. And your woman's out there working, but you at home playing house husband, you doing the cooking and the cleaning and the taking care of kids, and y'all generally happy. Am I to come in your house and tell you not to be happy because you less than a man? And because at the end of the day, who do you got to go to sleep with?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, who are the one that you really need the praise from?
Yeah, that's true. I think, but I mean, if we're being,
That's
but
taking
look, if we're being honest, though, socially, uh, a man, playing that role, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I can't tell. I'm not going to say you need to do it my way or anything like that. I just, for me, as like I was telling you earlier, as for me in my house, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna move a certain way. Um, I don't know, man. It's very difficult. I think that we should be able to. So from my experience with it, and I'll start to open up because of therapy, just being able to express more emotions and communicate it more effectively than anger. I think men struggle with, and I'm talking about myself. This is something that I struggle with. So when we go to communicate, and I'm limited on my vocabulary because the way that I'm looking at the words that I would like to express, I'm looking at them as weakness. So I'm not gonna say, "Hey, you hurt my feelings." You see what I'm saying?
right.
So I'm gonna be angry about it. Oh, that's messed up, and I might storm off. And then your significant other looking like, "What the hell was that?" Like what? Why? Okay, I don't understand that. You see what I'm saying? Just the inability to communicate when hurt, that you're actually hurt because you view it as weakness. And there are a lot of other examples, and this has to do with being vulnerable with your significant other and not feeling comfortable being vulnerable. So you have to deal with that. Why are you not comfortable being vulnerable with your significant other? There are so many different layers to that, but to speak on the being in touch with your emotions, being able to explain how you feel helps other people relate to you in a way that being logical doesn't. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
And this is where I say, and I guess I don't want to sound arrogant.
Yeah.
I guess this is where I kind of stand up in a unique position. I believe you can get emotional and quote vulnerable to a degree with certain men.
Yeah.
And because I think men are very emotional. It's
Yeah.
how we handle it
Yes.
and we identify it. That's why I say to people, when people say, well, the red pill doing this and the red pill saying this, and I say, do you understand what you're hearing? Do you understand pain, hurt, or standards? Which voice are you listening to? Are you listening to the hurt?
Yeah.
Are you listening to the standard? Or are you listening to foolishness? And if you don't understand those three, you don't know what you're listening to. So where you may be thinking you're hearing hurt, no, he just raised up the standard,
Yeah.
just like you did in the night. You know what I'm saying? So are you mad because they got a standard and you're living below that standard? Because I'm right there with the older generation. All throughout the 90s, I used to hear about you ain't got no money, you go scrub, you ain't got this, you ain't this. We don't want no dusty. We don't want this. We don't want this. You gotta be this. You gotta be this. You gotta have this. Okay, so the men turned around, leveled up, and got to a standard. Now they're saying this is the standard Problem is you ain't living up to the standard.
Hmm.
And you've been fed a lie that you don't want to get rid of. Black women need a red pill moment too. Lucchese gave me a book. See if I got him, because it's something that I am taking a deep dive in. Where is the book? Do I have it? Okay, I don't have it in my immediate sight, but it's probably in my bedroom. Lucchese got me a, and when I say Lucchese got, I don't want people thinking she went out purchasing, but she gave me this book talking about destruction of Black males. And it really takes, and I'm watching these videos that she advised me to watch, and it really goes into how feminism has really destroyed just men, just going after boys. You could take race off of this thing, just going after men, and how it just lied to a whole group of people, and how it's really destroying, and the lies that goes behind it. And it's like, oh my God, is this a YouTube book? Or just a Patreon book? And when I say Patreon, it's not to force everybody to give you money. Can we really talk about this? Because this is deeper than I even imagined, personally speaking.
Yeah, I need that book then, because I need to have a,
Oh, see, hold it. There you go. I need Lucchese to know. It's called The War Against Boys.
Yeah.
Lucchese Brown Eye says she gave me the book, but she don't know I got the recommendation from you. But yeah, The War Against Boys.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, it's like it'll sit there and make you shake your head and go, well, dang, why ain't this a recommended reading all over the platform? Because this is the stuff that women need to read, churches need to read, so that they understand what you done got suckered up into for the dollar. Like, do you really see this? I mean, and then the other woman that has a podcast that's talking about, it's like, and I hate to say this is in the white manosphere. This book is written by a white woman. But the depthness, when I started reading this, I couldn't even read it fast. I had to literally like, okay, wait a minute. Let me go back. You know what I'm saying? Like, what did she say? Okay, wait a minute. Let me go back. And then have to sit back and go, okay, let me look at my history to really see this.
Yeah.
As the dynamics was actually playing out.
Man, it's things acting on us at all times, man, whether we're aware or not aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It seems like, when I start getting into this space and, start having these conversations, I go back and look at the news, and now I'm aware. I'm like, oh, man, that's crazy. I wouldn't have noticed that, a year or two ago, just these talking points about masculinity and all that kind of, it's just crazy how, if you pay attention to the news, you can see the dog whistles, if that makes any sense. And
yes,
like the different, like, indoctrinating things, or the way that they phrase certain things and say things, how someone listening to it would, go out into the world and move a certain way. It's just crazy to me, man.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me, man.
Yes. But again, it goes to, are we reading more, or are we just seeing more? Yeah. And what I mean by that is, are we reading because we stopped reading and we're all visual?
Yeah.
So we're not allowed to be thinkers anymore. We're still into the emotional reaction. I can't just put up a YouTube video and just have me having a conversation with the camera. It won't get past 2 minutes. If it's a 10-minute video, I'd be lucky if we get past a minute and a half before someone say, oh, no, I don't want it. I got to make it entertaining and then feed you in the entertainment.
Yeah.
But then I got to hope that in feeding you in the entertainment, you're gathering the nugget and growing, not Oh man, I don't want to listen to them two dudes talking. They not fighting.
Yeah, you know what it is called? It's putting the medicine in the candy.
Right.
It's putting the medicine in the candy, and it's sad that you have to do that. Because the consciousness of certain individuals.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only way to be honest with you. That's, in my opinion, that's the only way that you're going to elevate the consciousness of certain people. You have to put the medicine in the candy. And I struggle with that too, on my platform or our platform,
Mm-hmm.
the way that, we do certain things. And I struggle with it because it's kind of like, man, I don't want to have to dumb down the message in a way, it kind of, it pisses me off to, it's almost like I can't give you the words. I got to give you some pictures. Got to give you some pictures too to keep you locked in. Like it's just, or you won't stay
You gotta do a
engaged with it.
cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
literally
it's
be, yeah. What do you think? Why do you think TLA was so frustrated the first year he was on? Here,
Yeah.
he's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Everybody, lawyer is a PhD. But in order to teach you the message, he gotta go to celebrity gossip. You took a 20-year lawyer down to being a celebrity content creator just to teach you about child support, just to teach you about family law, just to teach. So this is where we are now.
That's where we are, Uncle Stu. Apparently,
we
rather be entertained and educated. And I always say
right.
that you have to want to be educated more than you want to be entertained.
Right.
You have to be.
Right.
Because it makes you, like you were saying, like you're more of a visual person. If you're stimulated by the visual, all I have to do, whatever message that just like we talk about putting the medicine in the candy, I can put the poison in the candy too.
Right.
But you love the candy. So then you get in a situation where you're in it for the candy and you're receiving certain information that's poisonous to you in your life, your family, your community, and everything. But you can't differentiate between the medicine or the poison because you're there for the candy.
Right.
And that's where that's where it becomes like a stressful thing, because you see, if you a well-rounded person, you see people putting the poison in the candy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just like people just, eating it up. And it's just like, dude, what are you doing? Like, are you just being entertained? Do you have this need to be entertained so much that you will poison yourself?
Yeah.
And not even know it.
If Joe Biden can literally tell you, salute to tough love. If Joe Biden can literally get on and tell you in your face,
yeah,
you ain't black if you don't vote for me, and that don't piss you off.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What will? Tough Love had a thing today, so I'm gonna throw that to you now. He did a podcast today, right?
Yeah.
And he talked about a guy that used the N-word. White guy used the N-word.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But then he flipped it. He said, why we don't get emotionally mad when our people do it. I want you to just think about it. Don't even answer it. But it's something that I had to like, dang.
No, but look, that layers on top of that too. There's layers on that. Why we don't get mad? We get mad when police shoot us. Why you don't get mad when Pookie shoot Pookie?
Tough Love, I guess you're going to take that one. Go on, take that, Tough Love. Go ahead, take it. Meaning, and I'm saying it in a jokingly way because you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And that's just a bunch of questions that we had to ask ourselves. Like, do we have selective?
But then
I use the word racism on this podcast, but the right word would have been like selective anger. Everything we real selective and subjective when it comes to everybody else. But then when it's right there that we can fix, it's like, nah, you can call me the N-word. Yeah, you can talk about my mom. You can do, but if they do it, now wait a minute. Now, don't it hurt just as much?
This is where it's gonna become Uncle Thomas or whatever, and I don't give a damn. This is where you have to listen to. First of all, if you listen to your enemies, they're gonna tell you the truth. The people that's with you, sometimes you can have some yes men in your corner. It's not gonna tell you the truth. You had people that didn't look like us that was out here saying, well, if they killing each other, why should we make this a big deal when they killing each other? Now, some people will be like, oh man, that's not the same. It's not the same. I agree. It's not exactly the same, but are they lying? Are they telling the truth? Are they telling the truth that we are out here killing each other and doing certain things and moving in a certain way, but then want people to see value in us when we don't see value in each other?
Let's do a real drop the mic moment. You ready? We talk about gentrification, but let's be totally honest. When certain people is able to get out certain neighborhoods, they have no investment to go back to that neighborhood. Sooner or later, that neighborhood goes down and is so undervalued that people can go in there, fix it up, raise up the cost to do what? Get you out that neighborhood. Why? Because you never show that you have an appreciation for it. Why in the world do I want to live in a neighborhood where if I don't work hard, I've been at work for 10 hours, I'm finally able to buy me a little nice car. But because you didn't work the 10 hours, I got to have it broken into. Can't call the police because, I'm just supposed to accept the crime. We brothers.
No snitching.
Snitching. You feel me? I'm supposed to accept it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to tell me who did it, so I can't even fight you over it.
Yeah.
And now you want me to remain in a community that I can't even enjoy my own property. So instead of me spending 1/3 of my income in a lower economic place, because we all civilized, because just because you spend less don't mean your morals is decayed.
Right.
Now I gotta go spend half my check to live in a better neighborhood because I gotta worry about all of y'all trying to rob me because nobody want to just get up and go to work. Or we keep blaming the white man, and then when the black man is trying to tell you, hey man, I know you gotta struggle, but hey, if you learn this and this,
yeah,
I can get you a $20 an hour job.
Yeah.
I just need you to take the dreads off and maybe shave or maybe do this. Nah, man, white man. Well,
that's crazy to me, man.
You know what I mean? Hey, man, listen, I know it's hard. Listen, dude, if you do now watch this. Now you ready to hear this crazy? If you do 2 years in the military, dude, when you come out, just 2 years, max is 4. But if you get the military at least 2 years of your life, man, you come out with a housing certificate, medical, mental health, and you probably get a check to go to school.
Yeah.
I ain't going in that white man army. Dude, you might be just 22. You might be 20. You might like it because all of us that did 10 years, 15, tough love, retired, I'm retired.
Yeah.
20 years. We got a whole second career we could do.
Yeah.
Nice check.
I don't know, man. I think it's a lot of guys that, the way that I explain it or express it is that every chess piece on the board cannot move the same.
Amen. Yeah.
So if you are going through life expecting to move like Susie or Jimmy or whoever you want to identify, whatever, if that's what you're looking at, you are at a severe disadvantage to the game.
Yeah.
You're at a severe disadvantage. Why do we identify so much with, I'm trying not to.
I know what you're saying.
Why do we
identify? Correction. Blue guy, I appreciate your what you had to say. I'm not in the Lapeef network. I do know Antoine Daniels, but I'm not necessarily part of the Lapeef network because I've never been on a Lapeef show. So
yeah, I haven't. I think I went on once. This was a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah, because he said 2 of y'all the most brothers I've seen on the Lapeef network. And you'll probably see me either more on TLA than you'll probably see me on Lapeef network. But I don't know if you were saying that or you was comparing us to the Lapeef network. But shout out to you, and I'm glad that you're here. And I appreciate the love, my brother. I really do. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I mean, it's I don't know, man. It's weird. It's a very weird it's a weird thing. But much respect to Anton and the Lapeef Network as well. Like those
Yeah,
they're
there's
doing
not a foot
excellent
down.
work.
Yeah,
TLA is doing excellent work. I'm seeing a lot of brothers that are doing excellent work. And it's but I guess to kind of what we were talking about, I don't understand this connection with our hair. I mean it's like our hair, our how we cut our whatever, like the clothes that we wear. I don't understand why that's so significant. It's just ridiculous to me. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to transact and do business, you have to move accordingly. Period. You have to be able to communicate effectively, unless you can dribble a ball, unless you can run a 4-1 and a 40, unless you can move in those spaces. And even in those spaces, there's a code of business conduct
yeah,
that's not really discussed. So I don't understand this. A lot of people say, like you say, it's the man and blah 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 and all this kind of stuff. A lot of people are disenfranchising themselves. You're disqualifying yourself.
yeah.
You
Hold
know,
on one sec. I get it now. Yes, sir. Appreciate you. What he said is he's
yeah,
comparing us to the live in the
got you.
sense of night live. So
Yeah,
yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you. That
appreciate
is a
that, good
big
guy.
compliment. That's a huge compliment. Thank you. But you're right. I don't have a direct answer other
Yeah,
than I know historic. And when I say historically, I ain't talking about 100 years ago. Sort of like the 70s, 80s aspect of it.
yeah.
But even then, if you ain't running your own business in your own circle, you really can't do that. I mean, being in the military, I can't run in there and talk about, well, Sarge, I'm gonna wear these dreads and
Yeah.
you're gonna accept it. And either I'll be doing a lot of push-ups or I'll be getting a piece of paper and they're gonna tell me to get out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, I told you, I don't know what people are thinking when they're thinking. And I try to understand it like, okay, can you explain to me why you think the way you think or why you move the way you move?
It's
You
feelings.
know,
It's
huh?
feelings. It's
Yeah,
feelings.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
feelings. That's why, like when, like with Anton, he always talk about like F your feelings.
yeah,
Like, and a lot of people don't understand, like, bro, it's not just F your feelings, it's F my feelings too. I'm not just
yeah.
saying F your feelings, I'm saying F my feelings too. We have to protect and provide in order to, like, bro, you have to transact in this world. You have to look, you can feel any way you want to feel. Cool. I get it. 100%. But at the end of the day, you have to protect and provide for your family. And if you're going to tell me that you are not going to protect and provide for your family because you don't want to cut your hair, that's crazy as hell to me. That's crazy as hell to me. You don't want to cut your hair. You don't want to pull your pants up. You don't want to dress the part. You don't want to clean yourself up. So we always talk about the male image or the black male image, and then we putting this bullshit out there. Just we're putting crap out here. We move in a certain way, and then what a lot of brothers would be offended. You somebody say, "Hey man, if you don't mind," I had a guy that that's crazy. I was thinking about, I had a guy that was older than me that
Mhm.
worked. I never say people work for me, they work with
Right,
me.
right, 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 right.
And he worked with me. And I told him, I said, "Hey man, I appreciate the work that you're doing. I think you're a good dude. But I need you to, if you don't mind, respectfully, pull your pants up because you're representing my company. So I'd appreciate it if you could do that for me." He took it a totally different way. Now that lets me know that, okay, I can't conduct business with you. We can't, you don't understand how this works. You don't have an understanding of how business actually works. You can sag your pants when you off the job, but if you here, you're gonna be clean cut and you're gonna look a certain way. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like you can't pull up to customers looking a certain way. You can't. There's some people that'll look at you and don't want to shake your hand, and you think it's because you black. And
Exactly.
it has nothing to do with because you're black. It's your appearance is disheveled.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So it's and that's why I talk about the self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you're a black man and you're walking around saying, "Oh, well, this has me this way or this has me that way," and somebody that looks different than you doesn't want to shake your hand, it may not be because of your race or black as you identify with. It may not be that. It may just be you look disheveled and I don't want to shake your hand, or you come off a certain way. Period. It could just be that.
And it goes right back to what you said. Big up to Seattle Black Veteran. He's another one. He be on TLA too.
Much respect, man.
It goes back to that area of feelings over facts.
Yeah.
It goes back to that, if you want to call it the recycle or the victim mentality, that as long as I can blame it on race, I'm allowed to be a flunky and a failure. You also elevated the intellect when you said, when you talk about business mindset versus a hobby. Business mindset is about image. And so thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate the $10. Appreciate you. When you talk about no feelings, get it done, etc. I mean, so that's a conservative mindset. And the only way it's going to happen is we got to keep pushing. And I hate to say this, but you can't save everybody.
Yeah.
Period. Some people's going to die in their little feelings. And some men are not. When you study the meaning of mature, it really means to go through that process.
Yeah.
I don't blame it on, daddy's wasn't there. I don't always take that, because I know too many men who was in my age category, grew up with me, grew up around women, because I was one, and none of us is running around talking about, you hurt my feelings. You did. You know what I'm saying? Is there things that we're angry about? Absolutely. Is there emotional things we was pissed about? Absolutely. Are there things that happen that, you need therapy for? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we know we got to still get up and go to work.
Yeah, we got to make it happen.
You know what I'm saying? I can be mad at the work, but the bills got to get paid. So I can't be running at home and be like, well, we ain't going to pay this rent because I ain't like the way that white woman was looking at me when I was crossing the street. So I'm just going to drink this fifth of Hennessy, not pay. I mean,
yeah,
no. And so it even gets, that's why if you look at certain podcasters, not trying to be funny, they slid away from the black community real slow. And when you try to explain why this group slid over here, you want people to help you. You want people to come back, but do you understand why they're not? Do you understand what it costs? Do you understand what you're charging? There's a lot of great people in poor neighborhoods. But you got to understand why your neighborhood is poor, because there's political reasons for your neighborhood to stay that way. I need you on welfare. You're an automatic political card to me. Now I'm gonna take it right back to politics. If I know I got a set amount of y'all on welfare, that's a voting block.
Yeah, I got to vote for sure. Definitely got to vote.
You understand? Because all I got to do is come in and say, that other party want to take away your food stamp. What? Okay, we voting for you. Without having a full understanding of what's going on. Hey, wait. That other party, they want to gentrify your neighborhood. We trying to get you some low income housing. Automatic vote.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I mean, it really speaks to a mentality. It really just speaks to a mentality. Is your mentality one where you just want to hand out? Because you only the thing about the handout is, yeah, it will give you free X, Y, and Z to a certain extent. But nothing in this country is free. But it's going to keep you in a certain position. You will not move beyond that until you divest yourself of that. You can't elevate in this space that we call America and stay on that welfare thing. Like it's designed to keep you where you are for a lot of different reasons. It's creating a permanent underclass. And a lot of people are just so caught up in the handout, they're not even aware that there's more available to you. But what's keeping you in a position is fear. You
Yeah.
fear going out here in the world competing and getting what it is that you deserve, or you don't value yourself enough to think that you deserve more. Now, there are some people that are on welfare that need it. I'm not knocking that at all.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I think a lot of people are on it because they have low self-esteem. They don't think they can do better. They don't have the drive to do anything more than what they've seen.
Poor people keep poor people poor.
Yeah.
Bottom line. I mean, poor people keeps poor people poor. And then when someone speaks that is not poor, poor people outvoice the
Yeah.
one that's not poor. Again, I've been on various networks with various conversations, and the moment you say various things because it goes against a poor narrative, you're overshadowed, over yell, over this, over that, over this. So you don't see me in certain platforms. You don't see me in certain discussions. Why? I don't feel like hearing all your poverty stories.
Yeah.
You understand? You
Yeah.
would rather try to dox me, who's trying to do the next right thing, but you big up and cheer up everybody else that's preaching the poverty message.
And that's the crazy thing. It's the poison in the candy.
Exactly. You understand? I mean, so
Because the medicine
I
don't
got
taste good.
we must be special. We got Snuggles in the house. Snuggles just don't float anywhere.
Nah, but I'm saying like the medicine in the candy, it doesn't taste good. The poison normally tastes good.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got people trying to get you to level up and you think they're trying to harm you. But in actuality, it's the people that aren't trying to get you to level up. Those are the ones that's trying to harm you.
That's why.
And they slowly rocking you to sleep.
Yeah. That's why I'm very close to Intentional Millionaire. That's why I keep pushing before the billions all the time. Why?
Yeah.
Because Intentional is teaching the money game. Before the billions is teaching the tech game.
Yeah.
They're trying to teach you how to get the money.
Yeah.
They're trying to teach you how to get the money. And I'm close to them two brothers. It's like, okay, got you over here. We're going to push this straight forward. Poverty message is getting old. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I don't understand that too. Like you want somebody to justify your poverty. I don't understand why people that are in poverty. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But when I was in the hood or whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
I was not. I'm looking for somebody that is not in the hood, and I'm trying to hear what they got to say. Because my goal is to get out. My goal is to live a better life, be in a different environment, have a better quality of life for my loved ones, my family, all of that kind of stuff. I don't want to be, I can't think of the word. It's kind of escaping me right now, but I don't want your words to justify the position that I'm in. I need you to tell me how to get out of the position that I'm in so that I can live a better lifestyle. What way am I thinking that's counterproductive to what it is that my goal is?
Well, it's hard for me to always explain it to people because if you're not part of certain groups, again, go back to group mentality, then you're fighting an uphill battle. If I right now said, hey, here's 4 actionable things we can do, I'm gonna get beat up by the Pan African. I'm gonna get beat up by Adolfs. I'm gonna get beat up by some dude who who mama pissed them off last night.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get doxxed because I'm taking away their income by teaching a different
I got you.
mindset.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
You know, if I'm sitting up here saying and not just talking, you understand what I'm saying? If I'm saying, hey, I can boldly say that my woman doesn't have to, when she go to work, it's a choice.
Yeah.
It's not a mandate. Don't y'all want to live this way?
Yeah.
Somebody is mad and will try to destroy that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, when I show Intentional Millionaire, when I show Blind Guy his wife, and people actually see that I actually live the lifestyle that I say online, my question is, can I go to your city and see how you really living?
Yeah.
But what would they rather do? We don't want to hear him. So let's destroy him because his narrative is going to destroy our narrative.
Yeah.
So once again, right back to the poverty narrative. That's why we can't move, because you don't hear the other narrative because it gets drowned out.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's
It's got
it's
to keep
weird.
working. You know, think about it. We were supposed to be on for about like an hour and a half, and now I was supposed to run to another platform. This thing went like 3 to 4 hours straight.
Yeah. Now we got to keep building though, man. It's important. It's definitely
Absolutely.
important. We got to hear different, different messages, different, perspectives and viewpoints. It's very important to make sure you are actively working to get out of an echo chamber.
I like that. I like that.
So
I done dropped the stream. Nobody came up. So, I guess we good for the night.
hey man, it is what it is. I'm cool with
All
it.
right. Well, let me get in here. I gotta go see who's still up in the crib,
Yeah. Hey man,
I
much
got
respect. I
nieces. I'm
appreciate
always
this.
making the jokes to my nieces that I'm broke and I'm waiting on my welfare check. I don't think they believe that because I don't think they believe that. They don't believe that story. They don't believe that narrative. So
Yeah. Hey, much respect, Uncle Stu. I really appreciate what you're doing, man.
oh, thank you very much. And I'm glad we had a conversation. Hopefully, others are getting there and everybody just trying to build. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like I said, take all that stuff, take it back, say, yo, man, Uncle Stu said this, and this.
Yeah.
You ain't got to come up with a solution. Just to me, it's all right to have the conversation sometimes without the solution.
Right.
It's really just getting out different facts of perspectives.
Right.
And let everybody else take the facts and find the solution. Because, like I said, this platform is more based on we're going to have a conversation. We'll figure out a solution. We'll see if it works. We keep implementing it. Then if it doesn't work, let's go back to the drawing board and figure out what else.
Yeah.
And then let's give everybody's grace and mercy and say, this is it. But I also got to realize everybody ain't going to want to be saved.
Yeah.
Everybody don't want to come out of poverty. Everybody don't really want a healthy relationship. And there are people on these platforms that, hey, as long as I can make money, keeping you black dudes down,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make money. You got women who are extremely obese. We ain't talking about I got some meat on my bones. They obese. They don't want to do right, don't want to get right, and they'd rather try to kill any black man that tells them to get right, get healthy. And I could say it on the opposite side. There are some brothers that, bro, they don't want to get out here and own their own business. They don't want to get out here. They're going to find every reason. Man, I don't want to get married because the statistics say this. I don't want to get married because statistics say that. And because this study say this and this study say that. Well, damn it, die along with a dog, man. I'm trying to tell you how to live a happy life. You want to sit there and cry about it. Just make sure that you don't come walking through the door on my knees because I'm going to kick your ass out of here. I'm telling you straight up.
Yeah.
You know, so you can say whatever you want, but everybody got to have a standard. And you're absolutely right. We as black men, if we're gonna say anything, we got to compete. We got to compete in every single area.
Yeah.
Bottom line. So if you talking about a neighborhood and a community, you got to compete. Everybody ain't gonna give you something. You got to fight. And a lot of your allies, I hate using that word ally, because 90% of these people that's probably listening that never been in the military or understand that whole terminology of ally, but you got to compete. I can't sit at home and cry and I ain't out here on YouTube competing. But I'm not necessarily competing with you. I'm competing with myself.
Exactly.
We finally in a place where all of us can eat. Yeah. Tough Love can eat. I can eat. You can eat. Seattle Black Veteran can eat. We can all eat. We ain't fighting for 13%. We got a whole globe that we can talk to.
Yeah.
And we all have the ability to eat. So why in the world am I trying to kill you, knock you down, beat you up? What are we doing? Yep. And then when white people from the outside look in and say, Dad, they act like animals. Oh, no, we don't. Okay, do we need to now show y'all the videotape? I was supposed to do and then I'm gonna let you go. Yeah. I was supposed to do an interview with Real Talk Melissa Mary, right? So I had, messaged her because she was getting out a last minute news because she does news stories.
Yeah.
We couldn't do the live. You know why? They had the entire YouTube streets lit up with Tasha K News. The entire YouTube streets was lit up with Tasha K News. When I say lit up, dude, I'll be lucky if I had 2 people in my chat if we went live. That's how. So we could get lit up for that. But I ain't heard hardly one story about the Armin, the Armin
Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When the dude is down there talking about he trying to now plead his case and say that what he pleaded the first time needs to be thrown out. He now wants to plead innocent. You know what I'm saying? We don't light up the YouTube streets for that. We don't light up the YouTube streets for business. But boy, we light it up for Tasha K. And it's either all Tasha or no Tasha. And I'm sitting up there saying, wow.
Yeah, I think it's important. Like I said, I end everything with, man, we have to want to be more informed and educated than we are entertained.
Right.
But Uncle Stu, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on the platform.
Yes,
to everybody
sir.
in the chat, to everybody listening, man, much respect. Love, peace, the whole 9. We positive,
yes,
man,
sir.
At all times. All right.
Now, if we get off and Tim is on, we got to run over there because he got to get them watch hours up.
Most definitely.
And we're going to find out when he got a live. And then me and you go over there and we're going to light up his live for about 3-4 hours. Make sure his watch hours is up.
Yeah, most definitely, man.
Because I didn't know he was that far behind. Because, like I said, I didn't think this was going to go on that long. And I was going to tell you, yo, man, let's go over there and let's go hang out. But what we need to do is one day we just get a podcast and do it on his platform, so that we can get his numbers up.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely.
All right.
All right. Have a good night, man.
You too, my brother. Appreciate you.
All right.
All right. To everybody in the chat, I appreciate you coming here, rocking with Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. If y'all like that conversation, hit me up on the comment section. Let me know in the comment section that you loved it. Let me know what you loved about it. Let me know if there's any deep dive conversations you want me to take. If you feel like you need to write me an email, send me an email. If you need to communicate with me through my IG, make sure you hit me up in the IG. Every day I'm going to be rocking on my community tab. If you're not in the Patreon, get in that Patreon. It's only $10 to get in the Patreon. Salute to everybody that joined me as a member, helping to support this platform and keep it rocking and rolling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So listen, I got to get to Brown Eyes. I got some nieces and I got sister-in-law and they all chilling in the living room and I'm tired and I got to go get me something to eat. So I want y'all to know I love each and every single one of y'all. Remember, you're not a number, you're a person. Peace.
This is Uncle Stu, the old man on the block. Like, comment, share, and definitely subscribe. Emancipate your mind. Peace.